11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Dave Woloshin. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Memphis Hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. So much to get to from the weekend. A lot of NBA action. The Grizzlies were officially eliminated. A 4-0 sweep against the Thunder. We've had exit interviews yesterday. We'll have to talk a lot about that, about the season, the series, everything that went into it. The draft wrapped up on Saturday. Tigers had their spring game on Saturday as well, so a ton to get to over these next 3 hours. But I want to start off, Brett, before we get to anything, I would, and maybe this is something that has to wait for a couple days, get feedback, and let's really think about it until we come to an official decision on Wednesday. But I would like to officially request a vote to kick Landon out of golf picks. Is that something we can do?
All those in favor say aye.
I will object.
Well, I think there's 4 of us. We'll have to get John's opinion, but I think you might be beat 3-1. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Nah, we'll call it whatever you want. I think he's cheating.
9th pick.
Something's fishy, Brett. I don't know what it is.
Asterisk 9th pick.
Yeah,
Look, I had a feeling, and I went with it.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I can.
17 million. There have been years 17 million would win the golf picks.
I mean, Brett, you brought up earlier before golf picks. Should we do a penalty for missed cuts? I would like to add the penalty for missed cuts and just hope that he just misses cuts the rest of the season.
I promise you, I'm never taking Shane Lowry again.
No,
team, individual.
He's burned you a couple times now.
Nothing.
Yeah, you got to stay away from Lowry.
He and Rory, they had enough yesterday.
They did. Yeah, and
did
honestly,
you see the alligators out?
Yeah, I saw a couple.
Especially along 18 late in the day. I mean, it was just lined with them.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, a lot, and I wouldn't say every, but a lot of TPC courses finish with that.
Sure.
Dog leg left with water running down it, or dog leg right with water running.
Sure.
Well, Avondale, TPC in New Orleans, it's on the right side. Imagine going out to Southwind and that entire left side is just alligators laying out there sunbathing.
Gators love golf. I mean, what can you say?
They love sun.
They do love sun.
They love water.
They do.
They like food, and they know where the food tents are.
They sure do. So, man. Yeah, but I mean, like you said, you say this all the time. Like, it's weird that we've just gotten used to it. Like, we know for that event, you see a couple gators, you're like, okay,
no big
cool,
deal.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then we move on. And then the next year, we never see another alligator on a golf course until the next year we're back in New Orleans, and then we see him again.
It's really not many other courses they show gators on.
No, certainly not. That's right. There's a couple.
Now, where they play the Players Championship, there were signs there. That's where we stayed there at the Gator Bowl, and there are signs there, beware. And I'm walking back one night by myself and thought, boy, this would just really be a terrible way to go.
Yeah, death by gator in the middle of the night when nobody's
with nobody around.
Yeah, no, not good at all. But you're right. Like, there are courses out there on the PGA Tour where there's wildlife and every now and then. But it feels like when we're down in New Orleans, we're all bought in on the Gators. We're like, all right, here they are. They're our best friends for the week.
I mean, it's like a outdoor show breaks out.
It's very strange. It's very strange. But hey, I guess it's their thing. So if they want to do it, by all means, they can do it. Mentioned a very busy weekend. Grizzlies draft, where you want to start? I guess Grizzlies, they lose on Saturday, 117-115. Close game. It was back and forth most afternoon, but ultimately it was a middle of day Saturday where the Grizzlies were down 3-0. there was no Ja Morant, and there were very few fans that went out for this Game 4. And I don't blame people for not wanting to go to Saturday's game. But you could see it. I was at the spring game. We'll talk about that later. But I pulled out my phone and pulled the game up, and I audibly to my friend go, "Wow, there are a lot of open seats there." And ultimately, Grizzlies lose. Close game, but they lose, and now the season officially over. 4-0 sweep, exit interviews yesterday. We're officially to Grizzlies off season.
We are spectacularly light crowd. It was stunning at 2:10, 20 minutes before the announced tip time. Really about 40 to 45. Well, at least 30 to 35 before it actually started. And you can always get those bad 20-minute out crowd shots now at a lot of places because, like at FedEx Forum and like a lot of places, you've got really nice areas to hang pregame and maybe be watching other games or be with friends, enjoying the day. So it's not always 20, 30 minutes out. That sometimes can look much worse than it really is. But it was bad. Yeah. So then it gets to anthem time, and it remained bad. It got to tip time, and it was, again, spectacularly light, and I was afraid of it for a lot of reasons. And Saturday morning, I'm watching, early morning local news, the various channels, and almost every ad was Grizzlies playoff game today, tickets, affordable, etc. Even an $8 terrace seat. Now, the flaw in that is, if you want to go, and very few want to sit there.
Right.
I've got a theory on that. Here's my theory on terrace seating. It's for people that's mostly younger.
I'd agree with that.
I'm gonna generalize. I'm gonna stereotype.
It's fine.
25 to 35.
You're describing me, Brett.
A lot of those people grew up, their parents getting them tickets, and they were in the lower bowl.
Sure.
They don't want to go up there.
No.
They're used to sitting in better seats.
Sure.
And now the parent thing, the real adult thing's taken over and can't really do that.
Sure.
I understand that. I couldn't have.
No. I've always sat in terrace level. I love terrace level.
What do you think of my theory?
I think it's pretty fair.
And it's a long way from the action.
Sure.
They're horrible seats. If I had to, I don't know. I don't know that I would because I've been fortunate enough to not have to. Very fortunate. But I don't know that I would. So it was very barren. But in the lower bowl, I'm going to say upper terrace level, 3/4 empty.
Wow.
Lower bowl, 4/5 full.
Yeah.
And I got a pretty good gauge on that building.
You do. You absolutely do.
And the $8 ticket thing, that sounds great. Okay, $8. You go by yourself. Sure. $8.
Yeah.
Well, 15 to 20 to park. Then the concession stand hits. A 20 gets eaten up pretty fast.
Sure. Well, hey, you go back a little further, Brett. That $8 ticket ain't $8. That $8 ticket's about $20 when you put on all the fees and everything.
That's true.
Associated with it. So, I mean, you're already starting $15, $20 before you even get there. And like you said, parking, concession, all of it. I mean, it adds up.
I mean, it's just not a lot of deal out there right now across sports. Now, we say that, and I'm going to use it as an example. There were 9,000 or 10,000 3 days in a row in Oxford for baseball.
Sure.
I mean, Saturday in Oxford may have outdrawn an NBA playoff game.
Yeah. Not good. It's not good. But, that's reflective on how the season ended and how the series was going. I wasn't very surprised when I saw what that crowd looked like on Saturday. And, the Grizzlies showed a little
in fairness, ticket pricing very different.
Sure, absolutely.
For each event.
Two completely different sports, two completely different levels. But I mean, it was a terrible end to the season. Let's call it what it was.
It was after Thursday. Really, the fight for the Grizzlies, it was rather inspiring. They hung around. It felt like the trap door would fall out at any second, and it ultimately did, but not in blowout fashion.
No.
It was really competitive, but you almost knew how it was going to end, and it ended that way.
Yeah, no, it did. We talked about it a lot Friday after Game 3, where look, you had that just epic collapse in Game 3. You lose Ja Morant. It doesn't feel like there's much hope. How much do these guys? look, I understand that they're competitors, they're going to fight. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, how much do these guys really want to win Game 4 and then go back to OKC just to get beat again on the road? So, I mean, look, Scottie Pippen Jr. was awesome in that game. Really good 30 points, 11 rebounds. It was, like you said, inspiring play. They were in there. They were fighting. Ultimately, it just wasn't enough. And now there are a whole lot of questions that, it felt like we've been asking them, we've been wondering them, but the season was still going on. Now, those questions are there, and the season is officially done, and it's time to ask those questions and wait for the answers for them.
And we're going to. And I call balls and strikes, and I try to even-handedly fare about everything and everyone. All the different top subjects that come up that we have. Sure. I try my very best to deal with them even-handed. On these airwaves, I'm going to deal with them even-handedly. There are going to be a lot of people that don't like my off-season take about Tigers and Grizzlies because all season long we get the, well, wait till the end. You don't know how it's going to end. Sure. You don't know. Well, now we do know. And I've waited to the end, and we have it definitively. We know how it ended. Yep. And for Ja Morant now to say that he's got some secret code on how to beat Oklahoma City, be quiet. Yeah. Man, do not want to hear that. Don't want to hear any talking to somebody that got swept and even as sad as it was that was injured, was not in the game for a game and a half. I mean, easy to talk that I got the West stuff. Easy to talk that, I got some secret code on Oklahoma City. If you do, there are teams in the West and maybe somebody in the NBA Finals that would pay you big money to tap into that code.
Yeah. You'll never have to play another basketball game after that.
Something else I'm just not going to have any patience for if he hadn't have gotten hurt and it would have been 2-2 and headed back to Oklahoma City. There's no way you can know this. Here's what I know. 4-0. Sweep.
Yeah.
And another thing we don't know, if it hadn't have been for those two Brooklyn losses, if it hadn't have been for that game, not when they were on the takes, something illegal, and it was no way they were doing that. But when they took that dive March 1st to San Antonio, what if those games had jockeyed around playoff seeding? I don't know what the rest of the seeding would be, but when I watch these playoff games, I still watching and don't know anybody the Grizzlies could have beaten.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's something we talked about a lot down the stretches. When it was you've got this big, traffic jam in the West and the Grizzlies can finish anywhere between 5 and 8. We were sitting there going,
one time 2.
But right there at the end when we were really having these conversations of who they could see in the playoffs, and we were sitting here going, I don't know who I would like them to see because I don't feel confident against
I don't
any
need
of
to
these
hear
teams.
Young Houston because I saw what Young Houston did in the regular season.
Sure. And maybe you would have been. I think you would have been more competitive against Houston than you were against OKC. But
when I call these balls and strikes, I do it because I think that's what should be done. It's the responsible thing to do. If you just want to hear towel waving, then you can go to Memphis Maine's podcast.
I should have brought my towel. We could have been waving them around today. No, it was really nothing to wave them around about. You were just terrible to end the season. You end up being the 8th seed. You get swept 4-0. Look, back to what you were saying about if Ja Morant had. That's one of my least favorite things, whether it's true or not. The same thing with the Tigers as they had injuries for the first round. I hate it. I hate it. I think the Grizzlies probably would have won that game if Ja Morant hadn't got injured. But what would have happened in Game 4? I saw 2 games before that. Yes, it was on the road. I saw 2 games before that where they got killed on the road against OKC.
And many before that against Oklahoma City.
And then in the regular season, I saw 4 games, which I don't remember off the top of my head if he played all 4 of those. But I know he played at least one of them, and they still got beat. So, yeah, I think you have a pretty good shot of winning Game 3. But after that, I have no clue. I have very little faith that you would have, still won Game 4 based on what I had seen previously. So, yeah, would it have helped to have them out there? Sure, but I have no idea if they would have beaten them or not in a Game 4 with Ja Morant out there.
No shocker within the first I'm going to say 10 seconds of his media availability yesterday. Did you catch how Zach Kleiman described the season?
Disappointing. I think I have it written down in my notes that's how he.
It's always disappointing.
That's how he started.
What's the go-to word? Isn't it?
Yeah, disappointing season. That's how he sat down. It's a default for everybody in the sports world.
It really is.
It is just the easy answer, and you're hearing a lot of people say that.
And yesterday, in his availability, there's so much there, and we'll get into it. I thought he said a lot about nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting press conference. I thought at times he was very honest about things.
He did say we're not close.
Yes, there were several things he said that I thought was brutally honest, where he could have been completely different and said, look, we were without Ja Morant, we were without our best perimeter defender, we were without one of our big men, and he said we're not close. He said that they were unintentionally young. He said, I thought he said he overvalued the two young guys, Vince and Gigi, at the trade deadline. He said some very honest things.
Regretted LaRavia.
Sure.
LaRavia with this team in the playoffs would have been no difference.
That's the thing. He said some things that I really liked. There were some really good things. There's some other things that, like you said, he kind of rambled around about nothing. He said some things like Jake LaRavia, like I don't agree with that. At one point he said, they've really been dedicated to bringing in veteran players, and cited Derrick Rose, who was at the very tail end of his career, and Lamar Stevens, which I don't.
Derrick Rose's knees were shot. Yes. When he got here first time.
Sure, I'll view Derrick Rose as a good veteran presence to have in the locker room, on the bench,
played
in there.
23 games last year.
But Lamar Stevens, I never viewed him as a veteran presence on this team.
I didn't either.
So that one was a little weird. So I think there was a little bit of both with his with his media availability for his exit interview. But we'll talk a lot about it. A lot of guys talked. There's a lot of quotes out there, and a lot to talk about in terms of what this offseason will look like. It looks like we're not going to get any immediate answers on anything. It feels like this is going to take some time to play out, and it could be a very busy offseason, but it feels like, at least early, it could be a very long off season. But plenty to get to over these next 3 hours. Let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He'll join us to talk college football and college basketball. Plenty to talk about with him since we last talked to him. Tiger basketball has gotten 2 commitments. PJ Haggerty, there's news out there today on his top 4 that he's considering. We'll talk a lot of off-season college basketball. We'll get to some off-season college football as well. 3:45, we'll talk about the Tigers spring game. I was out there on Saturday. Really fun day. It was a good crowd out there, a lot of energy, and we got to see all 3 quarterbacks, a lot of other things from that game. We'll talk a little bit about that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, we'll talk Grizzlies, a whole segment dedicated to everything that we've seen take place this season and now into the offseason. 4:30, we'll talk about the draft. We saw a lot happen Friday night and then Saturday afternoon. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders finally got drafted Saturday afternoon. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about where the Tigers landed as well. 4:45, we get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole. He's been there for all of the ins and outs of the Grizzlies season. We'll talk to him. We'll talk to him every week about the Grizzlies. We'll do that at 5 o'clock. As always, you can read his work over at the Commercial Appeal. 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending. We'll have to talk about the Showboats. They picked up their first win on Friday against the Birmingham Stallions. And then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and at Family Leisure, they're already booking pool installs for 2025. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pool starting at $19.99 installed, and liner starting at $299. All pool accessories up to 20% off, and 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99. Swim spas and cold plunge tubs now $2,000 off, and don't forget about the patio furniture. Sets now up to 50% off. And mention this ad. Get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Our producer, Landon Schmidt, the Tiger Woods of golf pickers. He'll direct everything until 6 o'clock. He's Brian. I'm Brett. And we want you to join us at our Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line at 901-360-8255. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Always from our Family Leisure studio. where today feels like you could dive into that swimming pool, doesn't it?
Sure
always
does.
From our Family Leisure Studios, and always this hour brought to you by the great people at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be that the offseason is officially here for the Memphis Grizzlies. After a 4-0 sweep against the number 1 seed, there are now a lot of questions that need to be answered by the Grizzlies. The first one is, who's the head coach next year? Yesterday, Zach Kleiman was asked about it and said that he has not made a decision. He's going to do everything he needs to do to go about it to find the right next head coach for this for this team. Did not eliminate Coach Isolo, who has been the interim head coach, but did say that he was going to do a lot of work for that next head coach. After that, what does this roster look like? What kind of moves does this Grizzlies team make? It feels like they're going to need to make a move, a big-time trade with, it feels like one of these 3 guys of the core 3 will likely be dealt this offseason. Notice I didn't say big 3.
They don't say it.
They don't say it. I noticed that with the exit interview. Not once did anybody say big 3. It's the core 3.
Desmond Bain didn't like being questioned about it.
No. So the core 3, it feels like at least one of those guys will likely be moved this offseason. But will they? And what will the rest of this roster look like? We know they don't have a first-round draft pick because of the trade they made at the deadline. Do they try to get a first-round draft pick in a trade, or do they stick with the second-round pick? Plenty of questions for this team, but it was nice to hear Zach Kleiman say that this team, where it's at right now, is not close to competing, because we all saw it. We've known that this team is not close to competing, but it is nice to hear Zach Kleiman, if he is the guy, that he at least knows this team is not close to competing.
I don't think anybody could dub them a big 3. They're at best a medium-sized 3.
Yeah, I think so.
They're not a little 3.
No. But they're not a big 3. They're not the upgraded, big, extra large 3.
Not even close.
They're just a medium
1
3.
playoff series win. Not even close. My top story: Oklahoma City. They got out the brooms. The Grizzlies lose by 51, 19, 6-2, gaining on them. If it was a best of 9, maybe catch them.
They played them 100 times, Brent.
Oh yeah, 100 times. The Hugh Freeze 100 times. I think he just went 10 times.
That's right. He only went 10.
Offseason begins with Zach Kleiman calling Ja, Jaren, and Bain the core 3, not the big 3, because they aren't, and everyone that's not delusional now knows it without any doubt. This had to be seen to believed, and we got to see it.
Yep.
And it needed to be seen.
Yep.
And if Wexler and Kleiman don't go this year, they will take out everybody next year, and they're not going anywhere this year. That's another one of the big problems. Everybody in Grizzland way too comfortable. Para doesn't know we exist, hadn't been around. When I see Steve Ballmer on that end line for the Clippers, it's a little goofy. You got $20 billion, I guess you can be goofy if you want to be.
Hey, you can do whatever you want.
But I'm thinking, I wish our owner would show every now and then.
Nice, just hey, how's it going?
And do something. So we'll see what the Whiz Kids can do, because so far they've done nothing through 6 years, and it's really more than that. They've been with the team for around 10 years each, so they've been here for an extended time of nothing.
Yep. Yeah. Gotta do something. Feels like it's gonna be a big offseason.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it was the NFL draft that wrapped up over the weekend. We waited and waited and waited until Shedeur Sanders' name was finally called Saturday afternoon. The Browns taking 2 quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Very, very strange.
Did they wreck the conspiracy, or were they part of the conspiracy?
I'm leaning to they were part of the conspiracy.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm at with it, but it was fun all weekend with the draft coverage. And then the final pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, it was Memphis's very own Kobe Minor, a guy that really we hadn't talked much about in terms of the build-up to the draft of a Tiger that could be selected. But I do remember Greg Gaston, when he joined us last week, talking about Ryan Silverfield being on their show in the morning, saying that a lot of coaches had been calling and asking about Kobe Minor. Well, he now goes to the Patriots, but after the draft, it was very quick where these Tigers found their landing spots. Rock Taylor signs with the Steelers. Seth Hennigan signs with the Jaguars. Chandler Martin signs with the Ravens. A handful of other guys signing to mini camp invitations. So it was a good weekend for Tiger football players that will have an opportunity at the next level. But overall, the whole weekend, really fun for the NFL draft.
My not top story is the Shedeur slide, and I mean nobody madder than the Twitter sports media big babies. Mel Kiper, that I have loved from day one, from way back. What did he have a bet on Shedeur going somewhere?
He had to. He had that money on Shedeur.
I mean, apoplectic doesn't do justice to what old Mel was all weekend over it. And then there was a bunch of them out there. What if it's this? What if it's not a conspiracy? It's not a cabal of colluders and conspirators, and they just really thought he wasn't that good.
Yeah.
You know what happened? 4 teams, some 5 times, passed on it.
That's right. Yeah. Had plenty of opportunities.
What if in the end Seth Hennigan may be better than him? How come's nobody out there defending him not being drafted?
Nobody.
But everybody's rushing for all the reasons for Shedeur, and some of them just as lame as they could be. Why would any NFL team risk their reputation, risk a billion-dollar business when we know they would play anybody that can help them win?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody.
Absolutely.
If Charles Manson could run a 4.2 40, they'd put him in there.
Right. Oh, man. Charles Manson could run a 4.2.
And he's dead.
That's right. But no, I mean, I think all of it, a lot of stories coming out about his pre-draft process. And then afterwards, when asked about it, Shedeur saying, I could have handled it differently. I do think that there was something to all of those stories.
That's good self-awareness.
Yeah. And
that's a good starting place.
It makes me believe that some of those stories were true, because I see a lot of people going, there's no way that those were true.
Who do you think's better, Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders?
I think Shedeur, probably.
Based on what? I mean, Dylan Gabriel played college football at UCF, Oklahoma, and Oregon.
He's certainly more experienced.
Won big at every place.
That's true.
Shedeur played at Jackson State and Colorado. Give me his big win at Colorado.
I guess I just think he is a better athlete, I should say. I think he's a better athlete. Maybe not necessarily a better quarterback, but I do think he's a better athlete.
I didn't see a lot of athleticism. I thought unbelievably, son of Dion, little slow.
Oh, no, certainly.
A little?
Certainly.
Klutzy.
I just don't.
Big arm. Good arm. Good arm.
Not a big arm.
Not a big arm.
A good arm. I don't see Dylan Gabriel at that next level.
The Browns did.
Sure did. Well, I guess they saw both of them.
They took Gabriel first.
Sure did. And now I guess we'll have a quarterback battle between two rookies and a 40-year-old.
And the ultimate meritocracy will play out.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And I think it'll be good, because then what's going to happen when if the Browns come out and say, whether it's he's our starter, he's our second string, Dylan Gabriel's ahead of Shedeur Sanders, then what are people going to say?
The best 2 games I ever saw Shedeur play at Colorado were both wins over Colorado State, barely.
Yeah, man, Colorado State wasn't very good.
He was pretty good against Utah last year.
He was,
I watched that.
Yeah, Utah was
last game of the year against who? Oklahoma State.
Okay. Well,
he was real good.
Oklahoma State they were decent last year. They were kind of disappointing.
But he hadn't played anything near the spotlight that Dylan Gabriel's played in.
Certainly not.
Or for that matter, Seth Hennigan's played in almost as big a games.
I think you can certainly make that argument, but we'll see. Time will tell, and there will be a lot of talk about Shedeur Sanders. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break, and when we return, we're talking college football and college basketball with David Cobb from CBS Sports.
best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Matus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders Memphis. In the wake of the large storm systems that passed through the Mid-South, our 8 shingle crew, 3 TPO commercial flat roof crews, and even 2 metal and tile crews are all out assisting policyholders. We won't stop until all have been restored to pre-storm condition. Many homes throughout the Mid-South were hit by hail, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and yes, even 2 inch hail fell in the Mid-South. Many times hail damage will go unnoticed. Many people think it's no big deal. However, shingles and yes, even metal roofs are compromised. In time, show signs of leaks and on metal leaks, rust due to breaking the coating, which in turn ends up leaking. If you had hail and high winds, look up, or better yet, have us come look up for you. Water left unattended will turn into health issues in the home and business. Our staff will perform inspections free. That's right, free. Inspections of all over the attic and interior to ensure that no shingle panel or insulation go unturned. Call Metro Builders now. Call us. 375-1717. That's 375-1717. Or check us out online at metrobuildersmemphis.com.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appling.
Good afternoon. They were clearing a wreck a few minutes ago on 55 northbound near Shelby as you come up from South Haven. It's starting to pick up out here on all the major outbound routes. Give yourself a little bit of extra time through Midtown. It's only going to get heavier in the next few minutes. 240 southbound at South Parkway. Dandelions, crabgrass. Lawn Solutions says they can get rid of this for you. Call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us a little early today, David Cobb from CBS Sports. He joins us every week to talk college football and college basketball. David, a lot to get to. I want to start off, obviously you cover college football for CBS Sports, so you've seen a lot of the guys that were drafted play a ton of football. What were some of your big observations from the NFL draft over the weekend?
Well, 26 of the 32 first-round picks come from the SEC or the Big Ten. That's pretty jarring to see that. Not that it's really
it's all
that big
ESPN
of a
favoritism, though, David, with the SEC. It's not real.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Get out of here with all that. You got the best talent in those conferences, so it's no wonder that the NFL agrees. It's not just it's not just the networks propping up those leagues. It's the reality is the best players are in those leagues, which is why they have the best results and the best teams, and why they subsequently get talked about the most. So there was that which stood out, and then of course Shedeur Sanders dropping to the 5th round, which going into the draft, not sure anyone expected that. You could have talked me into, wow, maybe he gets passed over in the 1st round, but the 5th round, wow, that was, quite clearly the story of the draft.
From the SEC, who do you think the player that will be an immediate impact, not in time, but next year in September?
Yeah, right out of the gate, I guess I'd say like a Kelvin Banks junior. You know, the Saints take him with a top 10 pick to presumably to start pretty quickly at offensive tackle. I mean, that's one that kind of jumps out at you, a guy who obviously has a lot of talent. You know, like a Walter Nolan, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, he's got an NBA or an NFL ready sort of body, somebody that you could get in, get some work from, you know, right out of the gate. It was kind of wild. Like, a lot of the early picks from the SEC were those lineman types and those bigger bodies, those big time athletes who just take up a lot of space on the interior. So, you know, I'd kind of look in that direction.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you mentioned Shedeur Sanders falling. It feels unlikely that Deshaun Watson is going to be ready for the regular season next year. So that means we have a opportunity where it's Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel battling for the starting quarterback position in Cleveland. That's going to be an interesting thing to follow
with Kevin Stefanski's job on the line.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and I think you still got Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett,
you know what? Hold on. It said is Kenny Pickett? I don't know if he's going to be on that roster or not. But regardless, it's a total mess. You could talk me into a couple things with Shedeur Sanders and the Browns. You could talk me into Shedeur Sanders is the starter by week 4, or you could also talk me into Shedeur Sanders doesn't even make the roster. I mean, I think
isn't that wild? That's crazy.
It is, but that's
and if he's the starter, I will celebrate that story. That would be going to work and doing it where you have to do it. You're right, David. Nobody saw it coming, but all these draft experts, all these people that are talking to these teams. Somebody along the way had to have alerted them before Thursday of the big fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of wild that all 32 franchises passed on it, right? Like
for 4 and some 5 rounds.
Yeah, and eventually the Browns took a chance. I don't know how enthused that Browns front office really was with that pick. If you saw the videos of their reaction to it, it almost seemed like they had sort of had their hand forced maybe on who to pick there. And so, yeah, it's crazy, but he's now got a chance to rewrite the narrative, to take control of that situation and go out there. And, I mean, you know, we talk about the other quarterbacks who are in that quarterback room. I mean, Joe Flacco's like 40. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, there's a reason why nobody had him as a potential first-round pick. I mean, he's undersized. He's had injury issues. So there's complications there. I mean, it's there for the taking for Shedeur Sanders. He's going to have to rewrite all the narrative, but he's got a chance to do that now. And hey, look, maybe slipping in the draft is sort of that wake up call of like, okay, I'm not as hot as I thought I was. I'm not the can't miss like superstar. I'm not on the same level as Travis Hunter, even though everybody wanted to make me out to be at Colorado, and I don't have my father's coaching anymore. I'm not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Like, I got to go out there and earn it. Like, so maybe there's a mindset shift that comes here. But man, it's going to be so fascinating to watch it play out. And I think part of the reason why maybe some franchises pass on Shedeur Sanders is just the whole sort of dog and pony show that comes with it. Because if he does get into a position where he's starting, and then there's a game where there's some questionable coaching decisions or some poor play calls, you're going to hear the murmurs and then the yelling on social media immediately about, well, why don't they just bring in Deion Sanders as the head coach? And, because they had so much success together at Colorado. Maybe that's the answer. And I wouldn't want to have to deal with that if I were an NFL franchise. So, yeah, the draft is over, but the Shedeur Sanders saga is just beginning.
Deion Sanders is 13-12 at Colorado.
Oh yeah. But you got to believe it's coming.
It's definitely if he is playing.
I've missed the success.
It's going to happen.
I know what he inherited, but 4-8 to 9-4 and losing the San Antonio the Alamo Bowl. I don't know if that's unbridled success.
Yeah, no, it's not enough in my mind. But look, I mean, he at least got a cursory interview or a cursory look with the Cowboys. I mean, so he's kind of had the tires kicked on him already, like as a potential NFL head coach.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, this noise is going to come from social media, and it doesn't matter. I mean, Deion could be have lost every game, and people on social media would still say, "Oh man, he could do it in the NFL."
Well, and how long though too before Dion really starts kind of promoting himself for potential opportunities at the next level? Because he doesn't have Travis Hunter anymore. He's not coaching his sons for the first time in a very, very, very long time.
He's got a lineman from Memphis, and he did a number on the Southern Heritage Classic. Memphis ought to really not like Deion Sanders.
Yeah, but it's coming, man. I'm just telling you guys, like, you know, if Shedeur gets a chance to play, and the moment there's anything from the coaching side during his playing career that is questionable in the slightest, you're going to see it. You're going to see the Deion Sanders smoke.
David, there are a couple of way too early top 25s in college football playoff bracketing. When will you unveil your first one?
Give me first I need to get off paternity leave, so I got like 3 more weeks of daddy daycare here.
Heck yeah.
So once I get through with that, then it's like, all right, it's go time. And man, though, more than ever, like I'm actually like dependent on the preview magazines now. I used to just like how they smelled, and I could pretty much tell you who was coming back, because most teams returned 60% of their main players from the previous season, and you sort of knew who was where and who was going to be what. But like, man, I need Phil Steele to tell me nowadays. Like, I mean, there's just so much roster transition. So that's kind of a huge part of this. I mean, I think my default would be to a Georgia, because I think, one, they're going to be hungry because they're now going on their longest title drought since they won their first one under Kirby. And then you look at what Ohio State lost, particularly in this NFL draft, the uncertainty at quarterback there. And then, like, Alabama, there's more I need to see. There's more they have to prove under Kalen DeBoer before I can get there with them. So I'd have Georgia probably default as number one. And then, I mean, a team that I would look at pretty shortly behind them would be like a Penn State, who I think, they're returning a lot. And have just been consistently really good. Mm-hmm. Finally got into the college football playoff last season. So, I mean, there's a couple of teams right there that I really like. And I'm just not sold yet on like an Ohio State, not sold yet on an Alabama. Need to see a little something from them.
Have you gotten anything out of spring football from any of them?
Not really. I think spring football, to me, I don't know how you feel about it, Brett, but it's become less and less significant in terms of actually getting a read on what teams are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely feels like
just the aversion to a depth chart. They don't want to put one up. David, I ask this gently, and I ask it from a point of view of I love Kirby Smart. Did as a player, assistant coach, on the way up at Georgia. He's 1-2. That's what they wanted. That's why they made the move for Mark Richt, a mighty fine man and a good football coach, out. Kirby Smart in. You said by default they will be your number one. Aren't they always our number one in the SEC a lot of these last few years by default? And should he have won more than 2? And I ask that gently.
It certainly could have. I mean, without a doubt. No, I don't know, though. Like, at the end of the day, to have 1-2 titles during Nick Saban's coaching career, I mean, I think that's sort of the exclamation mark on it, is that, like, Saban was still coaching when Kirby won those titles, and I think that deserves to be highlighted and underscored because he did have to rise up and overcome his mentor, and I think, to me, that sort of proved that Kirby Smart is the dean of college football. And so, I mean, could he have won more? Sure. Carson Beck was a more talented quarterback than Stetson Bennett, yet couldn't win a national title with Carson Beck. I mean, so I think that more than anything, that the surprising thing about the 2 titles is that they were won with Stetson Bennett at quarterback, because pretty much every other quarterback that Kirby has had has arguably been more talented.
Mm-hmm. David, before we let you go, I want to ask you quickly about the 2 commitments Memphis basketball got last week. Doug McDaniel, he's the most recent, committed to the Tigers after a year at Kansas State. Numbers a little down at Kansas State this past year, but while he was at Michigan for 2 years, one of the better scorers in all of college basketball. And then Aaron Bradshaw, a guy that has now spent 2 years in college, his first year at Kentucky, second year at Ohio State, has kind of struggled at both spots, but now kind of comes in, kind of feels like maybe a similar situation like Dane Danger, where he comes down a level and can maybe thrive. What do you make of both of these pickups for Penny Hardaway?
Yeah, they're both super talented players from the high major ranks who I think are coming to a really good situation because, I mean, yeah, it's possible you could get Dane Danger back, in which case Aaron Bradshaw's role wouldn't be nearly as significant. There's, it's possible at least that you could get P.J. Haggerty back, in which case Doug McDaniel's role won't be nearly as significant. But in the event that you don't get either of those guys back, you could look at Doug McDaniel and Aaron Bradshaw as starting caliber players and guys who, if they have good years, could be potential all-conference performers, either one of them. I mean, Aaron Bradshaw was a former McDonald's All-American who started out at Kentucky, hit a log jam there in the front court, transferred to Ohio State, and he was also banged up a good bit last year. So if you get a fully healthy Aaron Bradshaw at 7 feet, he's going to be one of the better rim protectors in the conference. He's not your typical, throw it down to him on the block, post-up type of guy. He's more of a lob threat, more of a rim runner type. But I think he could thrive in the league. And then Doug McDaniel, you mentioned when he was at Michigan, he actually had a really good sophomore season there. Undersized guy, more of I would say, a bucket getter than a natural point guard. So thinking, I don't know, not necessarily an exact comp to a P.J. Haggerty because he's smaller. He's a little bit quicker. So kind of a hybrid between a Kendrick Davis type and a P.J. Haggerty type, just not quite as good. But still, somebody who could absolutely average 15 a game in the AAC.
David, after Thursday and Saturday watching Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I remembered, but I wanted to make sure, at Kentucky, his one and only year there, they lose 8 games in conference. They go 10-8. They got beaten the Sweet 16 round by Kansas State. He played with 2 other NBA stars, with P.J. Washington and Jared Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Cal strikes again, doesn't he?
He does. I remember that Kentucky team well. I was covering Tennessee as a beat writer that season and saw that team in person multiple times. It is crazy, isn't it, when you look back at the loads and loads. You want to talk about, you posed the Kirby Smart question to me about, could you argue he should have won more than 2? And I guess you could. But you can absolutely argue that Cal should have won way more than 1. Way more than 1 at Kentucky.
Two more at Kentucky, 1 here. And, boy, with Marcus – all right, so nothing at UMass, but 1 here and 3 at Kentucky. Nobody has ever done less with more.
No doubt. And it's the perils of building your roster around freshmen. No doubt, for sure. So he's doing it again. He's doing it again at Arkansas. He's got he's going to have some vets.
And they're in everybody's top 10 early polls.
And I don't know about that, man. I really don't. I really don't know where I'm going to have Arkansas because, again, it's going to be so not as reliant on freshmen as it was 10, 12 years ago at Kentucky, but still Cal is still leaning in heavily on the freshmen. And it's crazy.
He is tough in June and July and August, David. That's when he's at his best.
He is.
But Mark's not so much.
Well, David, I forget the way too early college football playoffs. I want your way too early top 25 for college basketball in April, the same month that we just named the champion of the season, and we still have way too early top 25s. That's what I need from you.
It's insane, isn't it? Trying to project right now in college sports. Yeah, I'm gonna put that one in the same category as my football top 25, Bryant. I'm gonna let you know. You know once I get off paternity leave.
That's right.
At the charity golf tournament this summer, what do you think would bring more at the silent auction? That challenge that Tomas Isolo is going into the offseason with that he never used Saturday, or Calipari carrying that timeout with him from the Texas Tech game?
Oh gosh, that argument, the failure to use that timeout for Arkansas and Calipari, that was so disastrous. And you know what? It came 2 weeks after at the SEC tournament. There was another just bizarre late coaching decision. He had his guy intentionally miss a free throw when they were up by 3. Mm-hmm. If you make the free throw, you're up by 4. You win the game. And he had him miss it on purpose.
That was first game against South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 in the span of less than a month though from Cal that you were like, oh my gosh, like he needs somebody. He needs somebody there, next to him on the bench to explain these things to him.
He's got Bradley. What's he supposed to be doing?
Well, that's a great question.
He was a teammate of SGA.
Was he really?
Oh, there you go. Brad Calipari, right? That's what you're talking about. Yeah. He's actually gone on. He's actually going to try to make a career out of coaching. So hopefully he's got a little bit more game management savvy than his dad.
Hopefully. Well, David, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. David Cobb joining us. Always a blast to chat with him. Plenty to get to with college football and college basketball. Let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about what we saw Saturday in the Tiger spring game. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Brett Stark, Sports Movie, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're live and local inside our Family Leisure studios. We'll talk a little bit about the spring game on Saturday. Got the first look at what we'll see a lot of in the fall for Tiger football. It was a lot of fun.
You want to go W's and L's?
No. Way too early. Way too early for W's and L's. But it was, we talk about in this new age of spring practice and lack of spring games. It was fun to see. Complete, spring game. The team was split up in two, blue versus gray. It was hey, you go over here for
close
this drive.
To real ball.
Close to real ball. Quarterback's not touched, but everyone else, we're hitting, we're pad popping.
2 12-minute halves.
That's right. And then
that's enough.
After that ran out, they did kind of a little bit they never announced it, but it was more like 2-minute drill type of just like situational things.
No tug of war, no hot dog.
There was tug of war. During breaks
it's become a staple now.
They did tug of war. They did a dodgeball, and a punt, pass, and kick competition.
Boy, I'd hate to see a knee wreck playing dodgeball.
Yeah, yellow. The punt, pass, and kick was hilarious. They had a player versus a student, and the student gets down there. He sets up for his kick. He kicks it. His shoe flies off. And, I mean, just goes like 20 yards. No, I mean, it missed, but it was a decent kick. I mean, his shoe goes 20 yards, and, I mean, that was one of the highlights of the day. But, no, it was a lot of fun out there seeing the group out there.
And the young quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously 3 new quarterbacks, one that was on the roster, Aiden Maiden.
Do you think somewhere in there's a sufficient college quarterback?
You know, it was weird because on the blue team, you had Brendan Lewis and A.J. Hill. They were split in time. And then on the gray team, you had Arrington Maiden, who was on the team last year. But he got all the reps on the gray team. And so it felt like he was able to get more in a rhythm. He was out there every drive. He looked good. He was airing it out a couple times.
So we get a starter game week?
Well, yes, but Ryan Silverfield said after the game that he hopes mid-August he's able to name a starter. I think it'll still be Brendan Lewis, but I think you've got 3 very capable quarterbacks in that room.
So somebody named and then a scrimmage or 2 and then game week?
It feels like it. But
well, he knows what he's doing. It's a big change.
It is.
After I think a legendary quarterback run.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the fun in it.
It's going to be fun. And like I said, I mean, I think all 3 of these quarterbacks are very capable. You know, A.J. Hill, the freshman, he looked like a freshman at times. It was hard. Brendan Lewis, I think Jonah Dillon did a story in the commercial appeal. I think Jonah wrote that he only got 2 drives, so kind of hard to see him. You know, Arrington Maiden, I think, threw for about 250 and had 2 or 3 deep passes. So, you know, I think you've got 3 guys that if at any point of the season one of those 3 guys is on the field, I don't think you're like, oh man, you know, this is terrible. I think you feel very comfortable with any of these.
How did bones of the stadium look?
It looked good. There's progress being made.
It looked like it was.
You're seeing some steel up. You're seeing some progress, and I think that's huge. You know, I think I forgot when it was. Maybe the first Showboats game where you saw pictures, people out there, and you go, not much seems to have been done. But now, yeah, definitely progress being made. So that was really cool to see. Like I said, good crowd out there. There was a lot of people out there to see this new team.
Tough schedule, and it's tough out of the gate. I think maybe not opening day against Chattanooga, but Georgia State will be in this area. Right. Or does Memphis go to Georgia State?
I think Memphis goes to Georgia State.
All right, Georgia State's here the week before opening against Ole Miss.
That's right.
And then the Tigers play at Georgia State.
I believe so.
Tigers play home or away against Troy?
Away.
Because here last year. And then home against Arkansas.
That's right, yeah. Ooh, that's tough. Georgia State, that's one that I might go. They played in the old where the Braves used to play.
It did.
Yeah, that's right. So that's one that I might make that trip and go see that. That's
the home stadium of 1996 Olympics.
Yeah, holy cow.
Opening ceremonies and some track and field events.
Yeah, so that could be a lot of fun.
That's where Muhammad Ali lit the cauldron.
Wow, holy cow. So yeah, that could be really fun. But yeah, really fun. One of the guys that stood out to me, the Purdue wide receiver transfer, C.J. Smith, speedster. Had a handful of catches, had a big reception. I think a 60-yard reception.
How big?
He's a smaller guy, but decent size, probably 6'2".
Did you break down his catch radius?
So. No, didn't do all that. But good speed on him. Guy started at Georgia, went up to Purdue. So, it was a guy that was heavily recruited out of high school. So I think
come on in, Snacks.
Footballs. I love it. That's the other thing. We talk so much about the quarterbacks, but you pretty much lost everybody in that receiver room. So a lot of openings, a lot of questions to be had about what this team looks like next year. So a lot of fun on Saturday. Weather was perfect for that. Had cloud coverage, a little cool out there. They had the equipment sale, which everybody and their mother was in line for the equipment sale, and then you saw everybody wearing these old Tiger, football jerseys. I saw some baseball jerseys in there, basketball jerseys. I saw our guy Antoine Hill. You can get you an Antoine Hill basketball jersey in the equipment sale. I was telling my buddy, I go, I love Antoine Hill. I might have to.
He still has eligibility.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Why are we selling his gear? He's got eligibility
Number
left.
11?
Number 11. That's right. Very good. Very good. Antoine Hill. So a lot of fun out at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on Saturday. Let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour, get to another break, and when we return, we got to talk about the Grizzlies. Plenty to get to there. Look back at the season and what to expect with the offseason now officially here. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Judging from the crowds, it's clear that Memphis has figured out that Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise on Poplar are the best places in Memphis to get a hot, fresh breakfast or a tasty, delicious lunch. Yes, there is always a crowd at both Sunrise locations, but because it is policy at Sunrise to get you your food as quickly as possible, you'll never have to wait long to get a seat or to get your food. Speed and quality are the two most important things to every Sunrise employee, making sure your experience at Sunrise is one you'll want to talk about.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
Progressive presents Employee Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company operates.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved. Who let the dogs out? Spruce! 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 Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour. And dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Who let the dogs out? And Spruce rubber weed killers are sold. Spruce!
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the Pike. How about a new ride for under $6 a day? 2025 Kia K4 LXS. We Gossett $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX. We Gossett $269 a month. And get more power, larger cargo area than Nissan Pathfinder in your new 2025 Kia Telluride S. We Gossett $398 a month. All $49.99 new signing 24-month lease, and they're all equipped with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Go see Bobby J. He's waiting to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 due at signing. Must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 87349, MSRP 25320, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Not too bad right now as we check it out live on 240 East at Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Now, it won't be long before it gets heavy out through there towards Collierville, but right now through Midtown, it's looking pretty good. I-40 over here at Chelsea. 40 West is trying to pick up at Danny Thomas, headed across the I-40 bridge. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season, which is just around the corner. Go by and see them this week and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is original sports station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Sports time on Sports 56 and 95
Welcome back into Sports Time, hour number 2. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. And we got to talk Grizzlies, a 4-0 sweep defeat against the Thunder. Thunder made it look easy, you know. In the first 2 games, it was blowouts at their place. Game 3, it was the epic collapse, and then Game 4 was close. It was, you know, a good fight. It was a horrible injury, and it took the entire everything out of that team in that moment. But they Thunder cruised in the series, got the win, and now they'll get a lot of rest before their next round. But now for the Grizzlies, they turn to the offseason, and it feels like a lot more questions going into this offseason than answers right now.
I'm going to start with the Thunder. Do you think they are just that all the way easy to the NBA Finals?
I don't know if I'll say easy. I think certainly I heard Johnny Radio saying this one day last week. The fact that now they're sitting here just hanging out, relaxing, recovering until the next round. That's certainly going to help them, especially if this Denver Clippers series goes long. But I think they'll get tested. I don't know how many teams in the West can compete with them and beat them in a 7-game series, but I don't think it's going to be.
I got two.
I don't think it's gonna
Clippers
be like
in
this.
Minnesota.
I
don't think Oklahoma City
Minnesota
is
certainly
cakewalk
could.
to the finals. And
No.
Remember, I'm way back thinking
Sure.
Cleveland's better.
Sure. And I don't think it's a cakewalk either. I think if you ask me who's going to represent the West, I'll go Thunder right now. I don't think it's easy, though. I think they get pushed a couple times. But I would still say probably, for me at least, I think Oklahoma City probably makes it.
If they don't go to the finals, that's the last shred of anything Grizz fam could hang to.
Sure.
Is, lost to, potentially a really great team.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes out in that next round to either Denver or the Clippers, that takes that away. It's like that team you lose to in the NCAA tournament. If they go to the Final Four, that makes it a little better. They lose that next game.
Sure.
Not as much. What did you really lose to?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that is the thing. Like, if they go out in the next round and whether it's Denver or the Clippers, if they make it look easy, well then yeah. I mean, if let's say it's the Clippers that make it and they beat them 4-2, and now Thunder out, then yeah, like if you're the Grizzlies sitting there, it's a lot harder to be like, oh wow, we just lost to one of the best teams we've seen in a really long time, and all these advanced analytics say this is one of the greatest teams in the whatever era we're in basketball now. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see, but I do think this Thunder team is really good. Offensively, they've got so many different weapons. Defensively, they can lock down. It feels like anybody, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Time will still tell, and that's kind of that's what stinks about being out this early is you have to sit here and now pretty much watch the entire playoffs play out in front of you.
It's like losing in Dayton.
It is. It really is. I mean, you were out just like that. And
didn't make it to May basketball.
No. And so now you just have to kind of sit there and see how it all plays out around you.
Do you think Tomas Isolo should be back as permanent head coach?
I think that they need to do a full coaching search. Not, hey, we like you, let's just check on a couple guys, and if we don't feel like they're capable, then we're going with you. I think it needs to be acting like you don't have an interim head coach and do a complete coaching search. And if you think Tomas Isolo is the best option, sure, because I think it's hard to completely decide if he is the right choice or not based on what we've seen. It was very short-lived. It was, a very hard change, but I don't think anybody with any sort of confidence can say he should be the next head coach. Because, like you said last week, what has he shown that would make him
What are they standing
see?
on? Isn't Tomas Isolo translated David Fisdale, Dave Yeager?
Wow, Brett. Wow. You know what? You got me stumped. I have not thought about that.
I didn't mean to do that.
But you know what? You might be onto something.
And this question, and I'm going to go back in the time in Memphis. We've had some good coaches, had some good men. I love Lionel Hollins. Really, I like Dave Yeager a lot.
I loved me some David Fisdale. Oh, man.
I didn't. Have we ever? And I hate to throw Hubie Brown into this. I liked Hubie Brown a lot. I learned a lot of basketball talking to Hubie Brown. You could listen and learn from that man.
Sure.
Have we ever had a heavyweight head coach here? Mark Ivaroni?
No, but yeah, I mean
Hubie Brown. It was almost the gamble was great, and it almost was the basketball version of after sitting out a long time doing TV well, what Dick Vermeil got second tour of duty.
Sure,
he caught a wave.
Yeah,
then won a title. Hubie Brown, Fratello, no.
No, I mean you really haven't at all. I mean it's kind of been a lot of,
interim. He's just standing there.
Assistant.
Now, in the NBA, it's not like college where that's the face of the program.
Sure.
They're the constant.
Sure.
They're the rainmaker. In the NBA, it's all about the players. But a good coach can help.
Sure.
And I just don't know if we've ever been that well served at head coach. We always seem to kind of settle. He's not busy. Hire him.
Sure. I mean, is that guy out there? Like, who is that guy that you could go out there and hire that would be that kind of star coach?
Budenholzer?
Maybe.
If you don't win with Booker and Durant,
I was about to say, he's a great coach. Like, I mean, he's very well respected, but the stench that he now has on him from doing absolutely nothing with
Mike Brown count? Frank Vogel? Or Vogel's coaching, isn't he?
That's right. He is coaching.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Brown just got fired. At the beginning of the season. Like, I think he's a good coach, but like, is he that star coach? Like, I don't think he's there.
Anyone in the TV world, kind of the Kerr, JJ Redick model?
I just don't know.
They're not going to try the college thing.
No. I mean, JJ Redick was such a. Man, I think that was a shocker to a lot of people when he was hired. So I just
news break in 2 weeks. The Grizzlies are hiring Nate Oates. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not. That really. I mean, when it comes out that the Lakers are trying to hire, might go with a college coach and
with Hurley.
I mean, with Hurley, that's the Lakers. Like, they can do that, and coaches will want to go.
LeBron makes that work.
Sure. And, like, I think there are a couple other places that, could maybe go that, like, I've heard Nate Oates is, not by anybody reputable, but, like, Nate Oates' name's been thrown around a couple different places. But, like, if this job opens, if that job opens, Denver's open, maybe Nate Oates. But I just don't think.
Is that right?
But that's just nothing reputable. That's just people throwing names out. But I don't think Memphis would go with a college coach. I don't know if there's a college coach that would want to come out and take over as the Grizzlies head coach.
Nobody beneath Para above being a player is getting fired. No. Kleiman's not being fired. Wexler's not being fired. No big broom in the basketball ops department. That's not happening. No. They're very comfortable. They're too comfortable. Yeah. They haven't done enough to be this comfortable.
No, not at all. And so, I mean.
And for Wexler and Kleiman, they've been team employees. Now, no basketball decision-making in this entire span, but their fingerprints are all over everything we know since 2019.
Sure.
And they've been with the team since, I think Jason Levian brought Wexler in business side, and I know Kleiman was brought in as in-house counsel in 15 or so. Well, he said the other day he's been with the team 10 years.
Yeah, he said it was about to be 10 years, so that would line up.
He was brought in strict lawyerly attorney duties.
Sure.
And hired from a huge New York firm that has a lot of people have left there and worked for the league office or for teams.
Yeah.
And one of their big clients is the league, the NBA. And then got into the basketball shop 17 or so.
Sounds about right.
And named, the GM in 19. And it's been depreciating value ever since.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big arc up and nosedive down.
Yeah.
This time next year, I don't know how any of them, beneath Para, above Super Grizz, can stand it.
Yeah, poor Super Grizz. Let's keep him out.
He's safe.
Good. Let's keep Super Grizz.
Everybody
safe.
In between.
But no,
basketball related,
absolutely.
It sure is.
No, you're absolutely right. And so, going back to what he said yesterday, there were things that I thought were very honest, and I hope they take that into the off season because, him coming out and saying we are not a team that is competing right now. We are not close to competing right now. That is very truthful. Saying that we were unintentionally young this year, I think is very truthful. Saying that he made some mistakes around the trade deadline is very truthful as well. But then on the flip side of that coin, saying, we've been bringing in veteran guys like Lamar Stevens. No, he's not that's not the veteran type of guy
man
anybody wants you bringing in. And so I hope that this season and kind of where the roster is right now is kind of one of those moments where everybody on the basketball side of things has that hard look in the mirror and says, I got to be better. We got to be better, and we got to make changes. And
if they're not better,
that's the thing. I don't know if I trust that. We've always trusted. Trust the front office. Trust Kleiman.
That's been over.
I can't trust these guys anymore. You've got to go out there and prove it this offseason.
Player, personnel, and trades. The medium-sized three. Who goes? Who stays?
I mean, that's a great question. I think you ask 100 people down the street and you'll get 33% with all three of them. It feels like
what I'm for it will not happen. I'm for the big broom.
Yeah,
I'm for doing everything that's going to have to be done this time next year without at least a playoff win, a series win.
Yeah,
anything shy of that, it is gigantic broom.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
I think it should be now, and that would be all three out.
Yeah.
And especially before Ja suffers that next out 60-game injury.
Yeah. I think I would I'd probably start in terms of my list with Jaren. He's been a good player, and he's about to ask for a big contract. And
what is he on a good team? A 3, a 4?
That's the thing.
He's not a 1 or 2.
He's not. And so, I think he's probably a 3.
It's becoming reminiscent of Powell.
It is. But that's the thing is
I think Powell was better.
Sure. But I've heard some people say, get rid of Ja, get rid of Desmond, build the team around Jaren. Jaren's not a number 1. He is not a go-to guy. And so I think that maybe there's a team out there that will give you something good in return for him to be maybe that borderline 2 or 3.
What is the return?
I have no idea. I really don't. I think with Jaren, I think you can get maybe
player and a pick.
I think I don't know what that player is, but I do think you could probably get a player and a pick from him. Because look, this is a guy that has been defensive player of the year, has been an all-star, has been that type of caliber player, and so I do think there are teams out there that would like adding that to their team.
Somebody like Jaren Jackson in San Antonio with what they're building.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it could probably work. He'd certainly love it. Obviously where his dad played. Being down there would be cool. I don't know who the return would be, but yeah, maybe. I just don't know. I mean, I think Wemby does enough for you in terms of rebounding, but that's the thing is he's going to have to go somewhere where they've already got an established rebounder.
Because he's not going to.
Because he's not going to.
He didn't at Michigan State.
No, and that's those have been the two big things with Jaren is. He's not going to rebound, and we're still, this is now the completion of year 7 for
year
Jaren?
7.
And it's still the foul concerns. It's still getting in foul trouble, or not even getting in foul trouble, but getting those fouls or the frustration fouls or getting frustrated from the fouls. Fouling is still a big issue, and we thought, this was something we talked about.
It's still gangly, elbows,
exactly.
And different angles.
And that's something we were talking about rookie year 2 of, this is something he's got to grow out of. He hasn't, and that's still an issue.
He's been poorly coached.
He has.
He's been poorly developed.
Yeah, he has. And look, he's a very talented guy. Like he's a great scorer. He's good defensively. I don't think he's a great defensive player. I think he's a great shot blocker. I don't think he's a great get in front of somebody and defend.
But the shot blocking comes at the risk of the foul.
Exactly. It comes at risk of fouling. And so that's the thing is, it's going to have to be a team that wants to go out and grab him, that has that guy that can be a primary rebounder. And maybe that's something that that the Grizzlies look at and say, well, we feel like we have our rebounder, and they feel like they want to keep Jaren. After watching Zach Kleiman yesterday, I didn't get a good feel on what he's going to do this offseason.
There wasn't a lot of hope there, was it?
It wasn't. It was a lot of singing the praises of these guys instead of maybe being
content.
Honest.
This bunch it's very comfortable. Friend texts in Mike Malone, next head coach. After winning it all, does he want to kind of start over?
Yeah, I like Mike Malone. I am a little weary of what was going on in Denver that led to the in-season
if you let
firing.
that happen.
Yeah, because it sounds like that situation sounds like a lot more volatile than what was happening here with the Grizzlies. That sounded like full out, screaming matches, guys hating each other in that locker room.
We might get those stories in the next few weeks.
We could, but so far we haven't heard. We've seen, little disputes, little whatevers, but we haven't heard the whole, blow up that it sounded like was happening in Denver. So I don't know. I mean, certainly a great coach, an NBA champion. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's got to be in there.
Jaren Jackson was straight as a pin post-game Saturday. I was not there yesterday, but post-game Saturday, when asked, after 7 years, only one playoff series win, how would he process it? The answer was textbook, and it was sincere. I believe it was sincere.
Sure.
He laid it all out there. We've heard that a bunch, though.
Sure. And that's one thing, Jaren, he's really good with media and with answering questions. And I mean, one of the questions he was asked yesterday about
he didn't duck anything.
No, and he's not going to. One of the questions he got asked yesterday was about I forgot who asked it, but it was something about a couple years ago you came in here and said that they gave you a list of things that you need to improve on. For you, whether you've gotten those right now or you haven't gotten them, for you, what do you have to improve on? And he kind of said, I think every year I've got to get better. I have flaws in my game, and kind of went into, kind of talked about the fouls, kind of talked about different things. So yeah, I think Jaren is really good with that. But like you said, it's. You want to see something there. And certainly with the 7 years and one playoff series win, you want to see improvement on that, and you want to see this team, at least this group right now, get further than where they're at right now.
Did you think we would ever get to this point about Desmond Bane? At one time, I thought he was the rock of the team, and at one time, not only did I buy it, I sadly sold it. I don't know. I think it might have been Isaiah Thomas himself on NBA TV. Anyway, someone wanted to compare the young Ja Bane backcourt to maybe reminding them of a young Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars backcourt. I bought it. I sold it. Yeah. Not even close.
Yeah. I mean, it's just with Desmond, I think the big thing we talked about it last year is he's really bad in the playoffs this year. In this series,
handle was bad. Defense bad. Shooting bad.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, where it was almost kind of being sold as, ball handler Dez, like he's
move him over to the point.
Yeah, he's going to be the second option at point guard when John Morant's out. He can't do that, and these issues we've seen in the playoffs have been concerning. And then on top of that, defensively, he's not a great defender, and obviously, John Morant.
Do you not deal any of the three? I'll include all three of the medium-sized three. Do you not deal any of them for fear of, like to San Antonio? You look up, and you're playing them again in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a concern, but at the end of the day,
I don't fear one of them. You
can't be worried about that. Certainly, when you're building your roster, I don't think you can be worried about that.
I know their record. What's to fear?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I would not. That would not be something that if I feel like, hey, I like this deal, that's not something that's going to hold me back. Certainly not.
No.
So I mean, I don't know where they go. I don't know what they do. But certainly, some changes have to come this offseason.
And in the West next year, we know it's going to stay tough. We've mentioned San Antonio a couple times. They're going to improve.
Oh yeah.
I don't know of the teams in the playoffs other than the Grizzlies who really recedes.
Yeah, I mean it's the West is going to be the West. Nothing's going to change. I mean, you look at it right now. OKC's not going anywhere. We know that. Houston, they're young. They're not going anywhere. Lakers, as long as they're the Lakers, it doesn't feel like
Phoenix,
they're going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the other question is what happens with Phoenix? What kind of changes do they make? It feels like Kevin Durant is good as gone. What kind of happens there? That could maybe be a team, but it maybe Dallas. With the mess that they kind of have right now.
Now, Zach Kleiman, in all candor and to his credit, he said we're not close.
No.
So that means in the offseason and heading into next year, they can't be selling medium-sized three, the core three. One more year of it. They can't.
Well, that's the thing.
Because I don't think people will buy it.
No. And when you have said we're not close to competing right now, if you go into next season and have just made on the edges moves, or you've kind of stayed still for the most part, then what are you doing? You can't sell anything because you literally told everybody that this group that you have right now is not close to competing. And so I hope that they take a hard look at this roster, whatever the changes that they feel like they need to make, and go out there and make some moves this offseason.
My biggest problem, the fear I have, it's not personnel. It's up top. It's beneath Para with Jason Wexler running the team with zero background, with no chops, gravitas to know how to run an NBA team, and Zach Kleiman with very little basketball. I'm sure he's got a PowerPoint on everything. I'm sure he can dazzle you with all the Silicon Valley buzzwords and catchphrases of the day. But what's he know about basketball and running a team? Yeah. I don't think we have anything beneath Para above the head coach. Nothing.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, based on kind of where we're at today, it doesn't feel like any changes are coming with that group this offseason.
I'm not casting aspersions on the people gathered yesterday that were asking the questions. I didn't go yesterday. I was there Saturday, and there was no access to Kleiman on Saturday. Should a question had been asked of Kleiman yesterday, do you know that you're back next year?
Yeah, I mean.
Or would that have just been a waste of breath because they know he is?
Probably
the latter.
I think it's still a question that
because we've had a Grizzlies end of the year presser where the general manager handled the press conference and 2 hours later was out.
Yeah, I mean,
so he made it longer yesterday than previous regime did.
I guess so, but. Yeah, I wouldn't put my money on changes being made in the front office this offseason.
No, I would bet that there's not going to be any. You want to know where all the Chevys are? They're at All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, right down Highway 78. First exit as you cross into Mississippi is Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there in Olive Branch at All Star Chevrolet, where you can save thousands on your new Silverado truck with financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. That's no payments for the rest of the summer. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. And if you're an educator, recent grad, military, first responder, healthcare worker, law enforcement, an instant extra $500 bonus. All-Star with all the late model pre-owns you'll be looking for. Camaro, Equinox, Suburban, Tahoe, and a ton of Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch, and you'll get the most money back for it, whether you bought it there or not. And everyone at All-Star wishes everyone a happy April. It was Easter month, and hope everybody's enjoying their springtime. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, and for more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to get to another break. We've talked a lot of Grizzlies, but there was a lot going on with the NFL draft over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll do it next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelets, breakfast Sammies, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf, or one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $899.50, which are paid by the consumer. Inventory combined from both Sunrise locations. New 25 Silverado, stock number SG103857, 6,000 dealer discount expires 4/30/25.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce!
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour. And dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day.
Who let the dogs out?
Pine spruce, wherever weed killers are sold.
Green spruce. Showboats fans, the boats are back in action at Simmons Liberty Stadium on Sunday, May 11th as they face the St. Louis Battlehawks with kickoff scheduled for 2 p.m. Come see all the football action of the UFL and join us as we celebrate our mascot Skipper's birthday. Treat Mom to a Mother's Day she'll never forget with more fun, more excitement, and more Showboats football. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
I love my wife, but like most couples, we have different sleeping needs. One of us likes it warm, and the other prefers to stay cool. You can probably guess who's who. About 15 years ago, I set out on a mission to find the perfect fabric to keep us both comfortable. I found it in Viscose from Bamboo. I'm Tyler, founder of Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth offers the softest, most comfortable sheets, towels, PJs, joggers, and more. Our premium bamboo viscose fabric is incredibly soft, breathable, and moisture-wicking, helping regulate body temperature so you stay comfortable all day and night. Unbelievably cozy, ethically sourced, and designed to add a touch of luxury to your home. I believe so strongly that our sheets will turn your bed into a sanctuary that if you sleep in our sheets for 100 nights and don't absolutely love your experience, we will refund your money. No questions asked. I'm so confident that you'll love Cozy Earth that I guarantee it. It truly is the gift that keeps on giving.
Go to CozyEarth.com and use code CozyComfort to save up to 40%. That's CozyEarth.com. Code CozyComfort.
Go where you can buy with confidence because at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike, no current inventory is affected by new tariffs. So come find your new ride at Gossett Mitsubishi, like 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV plug-in hybrid with a combined range of 420 miles. We Gossett at only $349 per month. Or take your pick from new 2025 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross or new 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Your choice, we Gossett. Only $399 a month. That's a brand spanking new Eclipse Cross or Outlander Sport, $399 a month. Plus, peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So forget the tariffs and remember to get to Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or online anytime at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
SCO 11871, MSRP 46,000, Cross SC 007521, MSRP 29545, Sport SU 002440, MSRP 286, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is the PCUSA Church downtown Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A steady flow of traffic making its way out of the Midtown area as we check it out live here on 240 southbound at South Parkway. We've seen a couple of wrecks out here in the last 15-20 minutes through the construction zone. It's moving right now. Let's keep it that way on 55 north and southbound between Macklemore and South Parkway. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass. Lawn Solutions says none of this is a problem. They can get rid of it for you, make your yard look great this spring and summer. Lawn Solutions. Give them a call right now here in the Memphis area, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk about the draft. We talked a lot about round 1 on Friday, but then Friday night we had rounds 2 and 3, and then on Saturday 4 through 7. A lot of names being called for the Tigers. Mr. Irrelevant, Kobe Minor. So that was a lot of fun on Saturday. But the biggest story over the weekend, it was Shedeur Sanders and just the unbelievable fall for him. I mean, we were talking a couple weeks ago about him being top 10. Then it was kind of him sliding, but him still being the second quarterback.
It was shocking Thursday.
It was shocking all
stunning
weekend.
Friday.
Yes.
And to wake up Saturday and thinking, man, when's somebody going to take him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was telling somebody about, I have a group chat with a handful of friends, and the kind of the progression of okay, well, he might not get taken tonight on Thursday to Friday. All right, he's going to get taken very early tonight to, okay, well, here's a couple more teams that need quarterbacks. They're coming up soon to, okay, I don't know if he's going to get drafted tonight to, oh my gosh, he did not get drafted tonight, to into Saturday, like you said, of when's he going to get drafted? And then to see him not go until the 5th round, which was probably about 1:15, 1:30 or so Saturday afternoon. I mean, it was a long time before, even on Saturday, before he heard his name called.
Yeah, I was already at FedEx Forum and had been there a while before he was selected. Do you think there's controversy? Do you think there's conspiracy? Do you think there's collusion? Do you think it was the entire league in a sting operation to show Deion and his son were in charge?
I don't. I certainly hope not, but I don't. I really
think what one email, one, if you found of that, what it would do.
I mean, it'd be detrimental. I mean, it'd be crazy. But I don't think there was anything that, I truly do believe.
I mean, you let some of the great investigative report, you let Ronan Farrow get a hold of that.
Man, please.
I don't know if Ronan Farrow's ever written a word about a sports story. But you let some of those people dig into that, and you find that one smoking gun, that incriminating document of we're all going to pass, and then we're going to make Jimmy Haslam and the Browns take him.
No, I mean,
think on the face of it how stupid that is.
It's insane. But of course,
there are people that absolutely believe it.
There are, because it's Deion Sanders and it's Shedeur Sanders. I mean,
that a year ago they were saying that where he would and wouldn't play.
Exactly. I mean, crazy where we've gotten to. No, I believe these stories that are coming out about he wasn't very good pre-draft. He didn't really want to be there for a lot of these pre-draft interviews and workouts and different things like that. He was deciding who he was going to talk to and who he was going to work out to. And the teams that needed quarterbacks, they didn't really like that. And then there are a lot of teams in the NFL that right now they've got their guy, and they're fine at quarterback. And so the teams that maybe are looking for a backup, when they see the teams that need a quarterback saying, we don't want this guy, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to go, yeah, we'd love to have this guy. They're going to go, okay, there might be something off about this guy. We don't want him either. No collusion about it. It's how the NFL works. There are teams that were looking at him, did a lot of digging into him, said, we're going to pass on him for right now. And then those other teams that don't need him, why do we want to bother with him if those teams that need a quarterback are saying, we're going to take a completely different position group instead of going quarterback because we don't want him?
And the inference, and in some cases, direct accusation of race.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine discovering that email or that text.
That would be earth-shattering discovery.
I mean, how to blow up what's the NFL worth? $9 or $10 billion business?
A sport that not only is still growing in the United States, but want to expand and grow globally. Want to get a team in Mexico. Wants to get a team in Europe. I mean,
and you have the proof of that.
No, absolutely not.
It's insanity.
Yeah. I mean, that's the magic bullet right there. I mean, if that gets found, I mean, the NFL's done.
And should be.
It should be. You're absolutely right.
And there's just no chance of it.
No, not at all. Not at all. And so, and even afterward, Shedeur in an interview saying, look, I probably should have done things differently before the draft. And I thought that was very, very big of him to say that, because that was not fun for him to be sitting there and waiting all that time.
No, and the prank call that's very untoward, it's real uncool.
Terrible.
And that could jeopardize that man's job with Atlanta.
Unbelievable.
And there's a lot of people owe Sidney Shane an apology.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, that was the first one that everyone kind of immediately pointed to without any evidence or anything that even pointed in that direction. And immediately went after the Shane family. And then to find out, look, I read something earlier today that said, everybody at 21 has done something stupid. I did something, I've done stuff at 21, stupid. But when you are in that position, in that family, and your father is an NFL coach, and you see information like that.
It's juvenile to the highest order.
You've got to be smart enough to go, you know what, that's not something
Shouldn't you be smarter than that at 15?
Yeah, way younger than that. I mean, I think Joe Shane, we just talked about his family, he's got a son that's like, 15, years old, he'd never do that. I have such confidence that he would never do something like that.
Trifling through your dad's iPad.
That's crazy. And then going, oh yeah, this is. Oh look, I got Shedeur Sanders' phone number. Man, this will be cool. Let me tell the guys. Let's prank call. I mean, that is insane. So good luck.
I think Jackson Dart was helped by a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Now, this morning, Peter Schrager said on one of the Hot Take TV shows this morning that Brian Daboll knew in January that was going to be his guy.
Isn't that, whether you think Brian Daboll is going to get fired in New York or is a good coach, whatever, isn't that such a Brian Daboll quarterback? That is Brian Daboll right there.
It sure is. But look what he did as opposed to Shedeur Sanders.
Exactly.
He went to the Senior Bowl. Mm-hmm. Now, they both did play in their bowl game.
Sure.
And when a lot of people didn't think because of injury, Jackson Dart was even going to play in the Egg Bowl.
That's right.
And I know he said, whatever it takes, I'm out there. Mm-hmm. And he was. Then at the bowl game, hardly could get him out.
Yeah.
I mean, people were wanting, let's get Austin Simmons some run because this is the next few years. Then goes to Mobile, goes to the combine, did everything, ran 40s, ran 3-cone shuttles, lifted, met, ink blot test, every test you're supposed to do, all the availability on campus. And then Daboll in his own workouts, he just loved him a lot more than he did Sanders.
Yeah. And look, that's one thing we've kind of learned about Jackson Dart, especially with him being so close at Ole Miss. He is the ultimate competitor, and wants to be out there, is going to do whatever he needs to do, and based on some of the stories you've seen about Shedeur Sanders. I think that showed in the pre-draft process. I've seen now stories where Shedeur Sanders came into, pre-draft meetings with his headphones on and would take them off around his neck, but they'd still be playing music and, wasn't really interested.
They couldn't get his attention.
Exactly. And so, that you're not going to see that with Jackson Dart.
That doesn't go over at most job interviews.
No. Yeah, if I came up here when I tried to get a job here as a producer,
you did roll like that.
Yeah, exactly. I had my headphones on, and Eli's trying to tap my shoulder and be like, "Hey, you want to have a conversation?" No, you're not going to get hired anywhere doing that. And so, I do think there was a little bit of that to it. I think some of those stories were. I think all those stories were definitely true. And so I hope. Look,
but to rack up to 5th round, because we've had the negative story out there for a long time.
Sure.
But for 1st round, 2nd, all the way through to Cleveland, and it looked like it was a hostage manifesto they were reading to announce that pick.
Yeah, no, the very poor timing to send it over to the Cleveland draft room and
the coverage of it.
Mm-hmm.
You think Mike Greenberg and Mel's going to be okay?
Oh, man,
poor old Greeny.
It felt like everyone was turning on the desk against Mel. Mel's getting on everybody's nerves, it felt like.
They threw it to Mel once. This was Friday night.
Yeah.
Friday night, close to their wrap.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely long days.
Sure.
Mel wants to be right like we all do on all this.
Of course.
A lot of pride. He's good. He's caught at ESPN. Heck, close to the Mount Rushmore at ESPN. Berman and Mel and Lee Corso.
Sure.
You come up with your own 4th, but Vitale. That's probably it in the history of ESPN. He's made it. He's made a great career out of it. They throw it to him for a comment, and brusque and really bad tones. I don't even want to talk about it. Mel, that's exactly your job, is to talk about this.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, Mel, he was in it. He was in the long ride.
Next segment, when you throw it to me for a big number, I don't get a chance. I don't really want to do this.
Brian, I'm not doing big number today.
I'm passing. No.
Landon, give a big number.
Right.
No, it's your job. But, look, I just think
Mel was ready to fight.
And Mel's a very smart guy.
And Greeny was ready to cry.
I talk about it all the time. There are things in sports I would never want to do. Doing a mock draft is one of them. I love college basketball, but if you asked me to do Joe Lunardi's job where every week I'm putting together a mock bracket, I would hate it.
It fried our friend Shelby.
Yeah, I would hate it. Those are things that I would have no joy in doing a mock draft or a mock bracket.
He said, the fun got taken out of it.
Sure. I mean, I think it would very quickly for me. But so it's hard work. It's a lot. You want to be right. But at the same time, I did think it was very funny where, I've now seen a couple of clips, whether it's from this year or previous years, where Mel Kiper is basically saying, I know more than the people that are hired by these NFL teams to scout these players. Like, Mel, you're great at your job.
I don't have a great esteem for NFL scouts.
No, you don't. You don't. But
I've seen them in action.
That is
none of them. I won't say none. Very few stay until the fourth quarter.
That is true.
Third quarter is their big mad dash
get out of there.
to beat the traffic. They got to beat the traffic. I mean, wouldn't you, especially now, I know a really good one. I don't think he'd mind me calling his name. Phil Savage.
Yeah.
With the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Last year, he's one of the few that stays to the end, and he wanted to see how Jackson Dart, and he goes down on the fourth quarter to watch the entire fourth quarter field level. He said, I want to feel it. Yeah. I want to see how Dart and Carson Beck, how they're handling this kind of these kind of stakes.
Yeah. Ooh. Mel Kiper sitting there just stewing all weekend and then throwing out, I'm better than all of them. Like, okay, Mel.
Mel, back in the day, he was the one that wanted the Cowboys, I think, to take Tony Mandarich over Troy Aikman. Look, we've all swung and missed in this.
Sure.
I mean, with stuff, if you racked it all up, and boy, did I really say that? Yes, we have.
Oh, yeah.
Inane stuff.
Yes.
But I don't think you can get as mad as he got Friday over it.
Well, and there was a time.
I mean, I'm mad at Landon over these golf picks.
I'm stewing over here about golf picks and Landon.
I still love you guys.
Yeah, whatever. Turn your mic off. But I mean, there was a time there where Reese Davis is basically trying to say, like, hey, let's move on. Like, he's gotten drafted. Now it's time for him to show everybody, like, we'll see. Mel,
we will.
You'll either be right or you'll be wrong about all of this. And the whole point was, like, let's move on. Let's talk about, like, the post-draft stuff with Shedeur Sanders. Mel wouldn't stop it. And you could kind of tell Reese Davis was... He's kind of tired of it. He was kind of done.
The nerves were quick, weren't? I mean, it was.
But like you said, I mean, that's 3 very long days for those guys. And
Mel Super Bowl.
Yes, and so I can understand maybe getting a little tired.
Did you see the draft grade he gave the Cleveland Browns?
A+. A+. I love that. I hope, and it feels like Mel Kiper is very good about this. I hope that he quadruples down.
Nobody else is giving the Cleveland Browns A+.
No, but I want him to dive.
I do love Quinshawn Judkins with the Browns.
Yeah, I do like that pickup. But yeah, two quarterbacks in the draft. Now they're going to be battling it out.
Felt like when those picks went down, I think the other Ohio State back went a pick or two before Quinshawn.
I believe so.
It felt like they were going to go in that group.
Yeah. No, it was a fun draft.
Travion Henderson.
Yeah, it was a really fun draft, and so
it was a big boy draft.
It was.
Too.
It sure was. It really was.
It was bringing the big.
I liked what the Cowboys did. I thought the Cowboys.
I do too.
I've seen a couple A grades for them. A couple plays I've seen a B or two. Mel Kiper gave him a B. Please, Mel. I mean, good Lord. But no, I liked what the Cowboys did. So I mean, draft is fun. But now we'll see what
another thing I'm already hearing. Well, now because of where he will be slotted in the quarterback depth chart at Cleveland, he has no chance. If he's good enough, if Brock Purdy can rise from Mr. Irrelevant to Super Bowl, it's there for him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Might not be with the Browns even.
Yeah. I heard someone make the case this morning that Shedeur Sanders might be in the best spot for him because of how ugly that quarterback room is. Look, you've got Deshaun Watson that has plenty of problems, but the biggest problem right now is a massive injury, an ACL that he's not going to be ready for the season. You got Joe Flacco in there that's 40 years old, and then now you've got
he's not 40, he's 53 if he's a day.
I mean, and then you've got yourself and another rookie quarterback. So there is I would not be surprised. This is what we talked about with David Cobb earlier.
Joe Flacco gets a game check, a Social Security check.
He sure does. And
same day.
Goes back to his couch that he got called on when someone needed him. But I would not be surprised at all if Week 1 Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback, or if he's the third or fourth string quarterback, or not even on the team. So that's gonna be one with a lot of eyes on the Cleveland quarterback room as we get closer to the preseason. Let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Basketball is on fire, and so is your shot at winning 98.50 with Real Sports Talk 56, powered by Club Car Wash. They're your MVP for a next-level clean, with 3 locations in the Memphis area: Getwell Road, Hickory Hill, and Bartlett, and a brand-new location coming soon to Horn Lake, Mississippi. It's never been easier to get your car looking like a winner. Stay locked in, call in to win, and cash out thanks to Club Car Wash at clubcarwash.com.
Join the club. It's the Freedom of Choice pricing program, Ram Truck Month and Jeep celebration all in one at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. 2025 Compass Latitude 4x4, $49.69 off MSRP and $24,796 with Jeep Select Terrain System. Go from snow, sand, and mud. 2024 Dodge Hornet RT all-wheel drive, $12,673 off, or $397 a month with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine standard. One of the most powerful SUVs in its class, or 0% for 72 months is available. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab with best-in-class payload capacity, now $13,335 off MSRP, or 1.9 for 72 is available. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
7704, MSRP 29765, Hornet R3A08 452, MSRP 44620, Ram SN 673 402, MSRP 5170, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license, CD for complete details, offer valid to end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on Summer in the Lowe's parking lot, and the newest Elwood's at 4040 Parkland across from the URN. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack. Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Brett, well, how about you start us off on a Monday
I got
with
nothing.
Big number? Oh, Landon, your big number
I'm ready.
today. Oh, his big number
I have
is
a big number.
Good.
Your big number
Fire
is
away.
three. 3 straight golf wins. Get out of here.
17 million.
No, actually, double 3, 6.
Okay.
6 Memphis Tigers went as undrafted free agents to
And there will be
teams.
people stick.
Yeah,
they'll make it.
Yeah,
Somebody will make it.
And 3 more got minicamp invites as well.
Love it.
So Tigers making moves in the NFL.
Love it.
Mine's 2:42, 2 hours and 42 minutes. That was the length of the Grizzlies game on Saturday. That is way too long, way too many reviews. I know playoff games can't start on time because of the slide, but how about we start the day earlier?
Sure.
Instead of 12 noon, how about 11 Central, 12 in the East? Let's get this thing moving along a little bit, and way too much fan expense.
Oh, yeah.
For the playoff games. The tickets are very expensive. All the concessions are too expensive. But we got to get the games moving along a lot faster than 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's longer than most baseball now.
Yeah, no. These baseball games are flying by, Brett. I mean, some of these games that I'm like, oh, yeah, let me check in on this game. It started at 1 o'clock, and it's basically over.
Here's something else the league's going to have to address. And I have a friend of mine that said, I'm done. People would know this name around Memphis if I threw his name out. Sits down on the end line, has from day one, he's done. Because unlike college, the players don't have to sit down during the game. They need to tell the players and anybody other than the head coach, all these defensive alignment coaches, all these get-back coaches in the fleeces, everybody in that bench area, sit down. You can't see on the end lines.
No, you're right.
Because they stand the entire – and they're 7 feet.
Exactly. And they're just kind of chilling.
And you've paid that for those seats.
Yeah.
And he said, I come to these games to have my neck up in there and watch it on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, no, that's no fun. That's no fun at all. But you're right. That is a trend that is certainly growing in the NBA. My big number today is a NBA number. It's the number 20. Nikola Jokic has scored 20 or more points in 21 consecutive road playoff games. That is just incredible. That is the second longest such streak by a center in NBA postseason history, trailing only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 34-game streak from 1973 to 1982. Will Jokic break that? That is the question. Certainly 14 games shy of Kareem. Maybe he could. Certainly is a force every night out for Denver, and we'll see. That's a fun series right now, tied 2-2. They'll go tomorrow night in Denver. We'll see what that series turns out to be, because winner of that will get the OKC Thunder. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this second hour and get to another break. When we return, we're talking a lot more Grizzlies. DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, he joins us next.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. beloved family of Perry, still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Sunrise locations, all financing on approved credit.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been eventful with a couple of wrecks out here the last hour or so. It's taken a while to clean up this one on 40 westbound at White Station. Again, that one's been up there for a while as they move everything to the side here on Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. They had that wreck out there near Kirby. It's already starting to build coming off 240 onto 385 Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. Dandelions, crabgrass, not a problem for Lawn Solutions. Here in Memphis, these guys are absolutely the best and they're affordable. Call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover once again.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour. And joining us now to talk Grizzlies, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, DeMichael Cole, joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, a lot happening right now for the Grizzlies. They get swept 4-0 against OKC, exit interviews yesterday. Let's start with Zach Kleiman and those exit interviews. What was your takeaway from what Zach Kleiman had to say yesterday?
Well, he was honest. He was open. He didn't shy away, from the tough questions. We came out firing pretty much, and he was very, very open and honest. But my biggest takeaway was the admittance to the fact that there were some wrong decisions made in this process, and the team isn't close. And this is the first time in my time here covering the Grizzlies, 4 seasons now. This is the first time I've heard them say we're not close. In 2022, it was, hey, we just made the second round of the playoffs. We're right there. And then 2023, it was, Steven Adams injury here and an injury there. You take that out of the way, like we were number 2 seed all season long. Like we take the injuries out of the fact that we're going to be right back. And then 2024, of course, it was, the whole team was hurt. We'll see where we stand when everyone's back. But the way this season played out, this was the first time where it's like, hey, Zach Kleiman said we're not close. So that opens the door for a completely different perspective in approaching this offseason, because now the team isn't close. So now the marginal moves won't cut it. In the past, it's, go get a Marcus Smart here, add some vets there. He just basically said that's not going to be enough this offseason. So the admittance that we're not close, combined with the fact that you want to compete for championships, opens the door for a whole new perspective this offseason.
DeMichael, I'm with you. The understanding of not close. Do you think they realize how far away they are?
Yeah. It wasn't just Zach. It was players. Several players. I know Desmond Bain, Santi Aldama, a couple other guys mentioned, like, hey, look, we're not close right now, and in different ways. We just got swept in the first round. So they know it, but talking to the players, and I know that some people have problems with the question, but, I mean, it's just a reality of the situation. I don't think it was a problematic that I asked, the star players, do you want to be involved, in those key decisions, right? Like asking Ja Morant, asking Desmond Bain, do you want to feel like you have a voice in those decisions? Because we've seen star players over the history of the game say, hey, I want to be clued in when our team is considering this guy or that guy, and I want to have a voice in that. And I don't think that's wrong with either way. But of course, people will perceive it.
They do, and in your defense and in others that ask tough questions, what do people want asked? Do they want to be asked, what's your favorite growl towel?
I mean, I don't get it. Look. I think it's some of that, but people also want questions asked that are like they want that Nico question asked. But I think there's different ways to. One, you gotta think about it like this. We get a limited time to talk to someone like Zach Kleiman, and it's important. Very
limited.
It's important to hit all the important questions in that limited amount of time. I mean, pretty much everyone that asked the question only had a chance to ask him one question.
That's it.
For the most part, unless you ask the follow-up. So,
DeMichael, I think sometimes between now and next year, and I don't know who would be the media representative, but should go to team officials and go, we need a lot more access to the general manager and to the president of the team. Wexler still hadn't spoken.
Yeah. We do not talk kind of on the record to Wexler in that way, but yeah, I think that's fair considering the way the season played out, the kind of the conversation around the fan attendance and things like that, especially when you talk about the playoffs and kind of the Grizzlies' perspective on how that played out and what can be done to prevent that from happening going forward.
Because they both have been with the franchise by Kleiman's, not admission, but he recognized that, and they both have been here since about 2015. We're going on 10 years. Now, they weren't in critical decision-making roles 15 through 18, but from 19 on they have been, and we got nothing.
Yeah, and that's fair. And my thing is, you felt a positive trajectory, or at least they say success isn't linear, but for the most part, there's been reason to feel good about the progress and the process with the Grizzlies. Of course, there have been some questions, but this offseason opens a whole new can of where do you go from here? Because they took a step back. I know, the players were asked about that in a way, and people were saying, we don't want to describe it as a step back, but in the reality is, at the beginning of the season, everyone had championship aspirations. Even though, it was somewhat unlikely on the outside looking in, their goal was to, hey, we can compete for a championship this year. And the first half of the season, they looked like it. They look like they were going to win the championship, but they look like, hey, second round, good, strong series in the second round, or potentially Western Conference Finals. Both of those look very possible. But when you got to March, anything past the first round, seems like a long shot.
And DeMichael, I will defend anybody with the tougher questions if for no other reason, from this point of view, with the original money, the public monies, the taxpayer, with their money spent to build it, a couple of renovations and expenditures on various things through the years, now this tranche of money that's on the way, we're working up close to $800 million to $1 billion of public money that's invested in 191 Bill Street. You're asking these questions for the folks.
Exactly. And the big picture is the conversation right now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not, about, what's going to happen tomorrow. It's about the long-term picture on both sides, on the business side, mm-hmm. Whether that pertains to, the conversation around the leasing and just the future. And then on the basketball side, this is a pivotal offseason. I'll say it now and continue to reiterate it over the course of the offseason. But depending on what happens this year, if they approach this offseason how I expect them to, next season will be the inevitable. Like, you got to make a groundbreaking move or something's going to happen. But this offseason is setting up to be more aggressive than the ones in the past because you have to. You have to. You just said that, hey, what we have is not enough. So if you just go into this offseason, we'll go get, we'll re-sign Marvin Bagley and, we'll bring back, our guys and go get a second round draft pick here and see what we can do. That's going to be a lot more tough questions that come behind
mm-hmm.
that. So there's going to have to be some aggressiveness and some creativeness with how the Grizzlies approach this offseason.
Yeah. DeMichael, I believe you asked Kleiman at the beginning of the press conference about the coaching position, about Tomas Isolo, and he said, hadn't made a decision yet. He's going to kind of go through it and really take time to figure it out. What do you think the coach opening, the coaching position, what do you think that process will look like for Kleiman, and where do you think Isolo stands in that process?
I think Isolo has the head start, but I don't think he has the job. I think they'll vet other candidates. They'll go thoroughly through the process, and that's another thing. Who they hire will be telling, in my opinion. If they hire some young up-and-coming guy, well, guess what? That's going to be telling me that they're willing to take a risk. I don't think, depending on who it is, I don't think that would be the most urgent type of hire. If you go hire a proven guy, which I'm of the opinion should be what you do, you go hire a guy who is proven, who has head coaching experience, who has playoff experience, who when he plays these type of teams, this is historically what he's done with this type of personnel. You hire those type of guys, one of those type of guys, that'll be telling me, okay, it's time to win right now. So I'm looking at how they approach this, but yeah, I think they're going to vet some other candidates. I said to Isolo, he has the head start, right? He has the inside track. We all know at this point, they paid a buyout to get him. And quite frankly, there was interest from other NBA teams, at the time when Memphis got Isolo. So he was think of him as a hot commodity when he left Paris. So they know that. And I think that'll be factored into the fact that, this is a guy who was coveted. And he didn't get much time. As he said, he had 15 games and 2 practices. 2 practices is what he got. A bunch more film studies and a couple shoot-arounds and whatnot, but he got 2 practices. So, I think he still has, a good case for, I haven't gotten an opportunity yet. And I think he'll be vetted carefully, but so will other candidates. And I think they'll look to make a move with this decision. I don't think it'll be too long. I don't think this is something that'll drag through the offseason.
In that short, awkward period of interim head coach, what did he do, DeMichael, you thought that that stood out of that he should be hired?
Well, he showed that he can get John Morant back to his superstar level. You know, we saw this new offense, and it was like, man, what happened to John? And then Isolo comes in, and when we talk to him, he says, we're going to feature our key guys more. And boom, John Morant is back playing at a top 20 player in the NBA level. He's playing his best basketball of the season easily. And then he helped unlock Zach Edey, and we went from seeing Zach Edey, you know, in the last months of the Taylor Jenkins era. You know, Zach Edey was being pulled out pretty much for most of fourth quarters, and definitely wasn't in the game late in the fourth quarters. And then we get to the playoffs and the postseason, you know, against Golden State, against one of the more, you know, veteran groups in the NBA. We got Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green in the lineup. Zach Edey is in there in the closing seconds, you know, like going to battle. So he did a lot of good with Zach Edey and John Morant, kind of instilled confidence in the fact that they can work with that pairing, and they can have, and those two players can play well, you know, under him. And I think that was the biggest positive to take away from what Isolo did.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk on social media, a lot of places, about the idea of moving one of the core three guys. When you hear that, which one do you think is most likely? How do you think this front office is going to handle those three players this offseason?
You know, the key words were the last two words you said, this offseason, because I think that conversation is now, right? And I've written about it. I've talked about it. The conversation is now because you have one playoff series win in 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And no matter how you slice it, you can say, oh, injury here, injury there. This happened in 2022. This happened in 3, 4, 5. However you want to slice it. I don't care what core you look at across the NBA. If any core where it's established early on, hey, these are our 3 guys that we're going to build around. If any core like that has won one playoff series in 5 years, we'd be having this conversation. This is not anything particular to the Grizzlies at all. Now, with
just
that,
a fact.
Now, with that being said, I'm of the opinion, I think, and this isn't probably what everyone wants to hear, but it's just, I feel like this is how the Grizzlies will operate. They'll be aggressive with fixing the team around those 3 guys this offseason. Now, if the right opportunity, sure, there's the potential that, you know, one of those guys will be shopped and they'll see what's out there. But as for what's more likely, I think the most likely scenario is we're going to see more older guys brought in. We're going to see kind of a revamped look around those guys, whereas in the past it's been like, oh, let's just add a guy here, let's add a guy there, let's depend on the young guys to take that next step next year. That is not going to be the approach this offseason. They're going to go out. They're going to look for guys with playoff experience. They're going to basically try to find their Chris Dunn, like the Clippers did with Chris Dunn. They're going to look for their Chris Dunn. They're going to look for their Malik Beasley, like the Detroit Pistons, you know, found. So I think that's kind of going to be the approach, looking for those veterans who have some experience, who have certain skill sets that can really help you get a better gauge of, is the problem how you built around this big 3, or is the problem this big 3 cannot coexist? And you give yourself one more year. You have the option to do that because of the contracts and the financial aspect. So take Jaren's extension into play. Even if Jaren agrees to an extension this offseason, this summer, the contract does not kick in until 2026. So you still have 1 year where you won't really have to worry about the apron unless something wild happens. But you won't have to worry about the first apron. You don't have to worry about the second apron. But when you get to the summer of 2026, when Jaren's his next contract kicks in, and you got Ja on his contract, and it continues to, increase, and Desmond Bane's contract continues to increase, the urgency next summer will reach the ultimate level where it's like, can you win with this core or not? But I think the approach this offseason will be, let's try something we haven't done. Let's put more vets around these guys. Let's go for battle-tested vets, and let's see what we can do. And if they can't find those guys, then I think they will be more urgent with the idea of moving one of the core 3.
If opening night, or better than that, at the end of next year, this time of year from now, and no playoff advancement, and you return all 3 players, you keep Isolo, what is at jeopardy? What is at stake for
a lot?
Jason Wexler and Zach Kleiman?
a lot. I mean, because when he said what he said, because there's risk that comes with it. He needed to say that, but there is risk from the standpoint of you're saying that we're not close, but you have championship aspirations. They have not hidden from the fact that they want to win a championship. They believe this core is capable of doing that. Okay, so when you have those aspirations, prove it. Prove it. If you think we're not close, that means you're saying we have to make changes. We have to make moves. So if they go into this offseason and they make some moves and those moves don't pan out to at least, you don't got to win a championship. Like, at the end of the day, it's very hard to win a championship. And it takes luck. But you have to – we need to see next season a team that's going to go 7 games in the second round. It's like, just this way, or get to the Western Conference Finals. Or you got to see some type of, okay, they found the formula. Now we just gotta build around the margins. There's the formula is there. Because right now we don't see the formula. Right now it's like, do you ask 10 people if the core 3 can get you to the championship level, you're gonna get different answers. But next season I think we will know. You know, the picture there will be a big enough picture, because you're gonna see people say the injuries right now. You're gonna see people say, it's the youthfulness of the group around them. You need to put yourself in a position where those excuses, are
Oklahoma City's younger.
OKC is younger, and they're playing really well, right? But their guys are available for the most part, and they've done a good job of building a roster that kind of is almost, I won't say injury-proof, but they can lose anyone but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and still have a pretty good shot at beating anybody.
Yeah. They definitely showed how good they are against the Grizzlies. And we'll see how far they're able to go. They'll certainly have a challenge, whoever they see in the next round, Clippers or Nuggets. DeMichael, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, DeMichael.
A ton to get to today, so we definitely appreciate your time. And we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, DeMichael. Michael Cole joining us to talk the Grizzlies, and a lot there. Certainly, like he said, I think a lot of people are saying, a lot of questions with this front office and what this team will do in the offseason. Right now, we don't really have those answers, and who knows when we'll have even the start of those answers. I mean, I think hearing yesterday that we're not anywhere close to naming a head coach, it feels like this could be a drawn-out process for even that. And then, it makes me think that it's going to be a while that we're sitting here for any real news about the Grizzlies.
Do you think there'll be a coach named, whether Isolo or someone else, by draft?
I think you got to have a coach named by draft.
And him in that decision making.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like,
and potential deal making.
Let's be honest. It's at least what has been reported and what it sounds like, that was a part of the issue between Taylor Jenkins and front office. He did not want Zach Edey. He did not feel like his system could use him. We could see it. I mean, like DeMichael Cole said, towards the end of Taylor Jenkins, he was on the bench. He was not playing much. And so I think you want to have a coach in there that, you can kind of talk, this is the system we want to go to, and then, hey, this is the guy we're going to draft. This
year is not on Zach Edey.
No, it's certainly not. It's certainly not. And, I think the thing about Zach Edey,
I did not expect championship. I did not expect NBA Finals appearance.
No.
I think in preseason predictions I said Western Conference Finals, and I think that was towel waving, homer.
Sure, I think a little bit. I think you just wanted to see
win a series would have been
just do something in the playoffs. You know, advance. And
now it after 6 years, the Whiz Kids did not match the previous regime.
No,
previous regime went to the Western Conference Finals and got swept in the 6th year.
Yeah. No, you're right. And so I think, look, and even at the end, even if you had told me at the beginning of the year, you're going to be the 8th seed and you're going to be playing the number 1 seed Oklahoma, I would still say compete. And this group really didn't show much of that in the series against OKC. But
I agree. You can talk about, and in my top story, I said 51-19, 6-2. We were gaining on them. It was 4-0.
Exactly.
Let's quit lowering this bar and maybe just go deep in a series.
Yeah, no. You expected more before the season started. and you're definitely not there. Just got a text message, big thank you. Not just a huge Grizz fan or NBA fan, but that was one of my favorite segments of the week is Mr. Cole. So, yeah, I mean, DeMichael's awesome.
Ours too, thank you.
DeMichael is fantastic. Thank you for listening. Thank you for texting that in, because, yeah, DeMichael's awesome. He is great with us, and I like what he said, and it sounds like even DeMichael, who covers this team so close and is there every game, every media availability, the ins and outs, the day-to-day, he doesn't really know what's going to happen this offseason. That's kind of where we're at, where, I wouldn't be surprised with anything that happens this offseason.
I understand fans. I'm a fan. I want to remain a fan. But in this, I back to balls and strikes, I'm going to call it like that. I'm going to call it, I hope, even-handed for everyone, every topic, every subject matter out there. Mm-hmm. But there are fans that only want hear no evil, see no evil. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's realistic, and that's part of my theory of, for most of us, it's the end of the innocence. Most people have moved past just towel waving when there's not anything to be waving one over.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's good. Like I'm glad that's happening, because
it's pastime.
Yes, it is. But it's good that it feels like that's starting to happen.
Now, like a lot of things, if you just won't hear no evil, see no evil, it's out there.
Mm-hmm. Sure, and very easy to find.
And they don't want anybody asking a tougher question.
But yeah,
I asked the question of Isolos Saturday post game, and I asked the question about do you think you will be named? I said will be named, not want to be named, because we all want to be named.
Of course,
will be named. And he hedged, dodged, and then I said, do you want the job? He said, why not? Some people didn't like that. I waited, Brian, and I did it intentionally. And I went back to kind of the original thing I was taught by George Lapidus. He told me in 1992, when you go in those availabilities, you let those beat guys go first. You don't be raising your hand and what about me? you defer. I waited till I know first question was DeMichael, second was Drew Hill, third was I think a blogger. I'm not for sure. Maybe even national.
Sure.
Chris Harrington fourth, someone else fifth, and in the Chris Harrington question to Isolo, Vince Williams was mentioned, and next year was referenced by Chris in his questioning, very fair, and Isolo in his answer, and Isolo answered it like he was going to be the coach.
Sure.
Well, that was the opening. It was the elephant in the room. If you can't ask that, then you might as well just ask, what's your favorite music?
What was your favorite moment of the year, Coach?
I mean, we got in what bourbon he was going to drink.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with the question at all, because that is the big question. That's the biggest question of the offseason. I don't care whether Ja Morant or Jaren Jackson Jr. or Desmond Bane's going to get moved.
A coach got fired with 9 games to play.
I care who the head coach is going to be of the team next year, because that's where it all starts. It doesn't matter who's playing on the court. It matters who the head coach is. And so I don't find a problem with the question at all.
I didn't sandbag, undercut anybody.
No, not at all.
Cheap shot anybody.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think a lot more questions need to be asked of that management level.
Definitely.
And I'll go back to the public monies involved.
Yeah.
I might be a little low on 800 to $1 billion.
Sure.
Now, over starting the 25th year today's the first day of the 25th year, in essence.
I guess so. Happy birthday. Should have thrown a party.
Right. Well, that's still a lot of money.
Sure.
But it's been worth every cent of it. I can't imagine us without the Grizzlies.
No. I mean, the whole city looks different.
It does, and feels different, and more live and more fun. But more questions need to be asked about that tranche of money that's on the way and exactly how it's going to be spent. And on the public monies front, the very idea of the Redbirds mad over they not getting $75 million. you're not worth another cent with the current management of that. No. You get that bunch out, we may talk about more public money.
Yeah. No, I love the Redbirds, but if there's a question about who gets the money, it's
they're not a banker in town that would make them alone.
Going Grizzlies any day of the week. But no, I mean, I think and last thing before we get to a break here, going back to Zach Edey.
Downtown we may be around $1.5 billion, $2 billion spent.
Yeah.
Of Mr. and Miss Taxpayers' money.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But getting back on Zach Edey, I mean, and I've been very upfront about this. I was not a huge fan of the Zach Edey pick. I'm still not 100% sold on him. But I will say one thing about Zach Edey, and you've seen it his entire career. From high school, he started playing basketball very late into his teenage years. From high school to stepping on foot at Purdue to going to draft prep to getting drafted in the NBA, that guy every single offseason works his tail off, wants to get better, and I think it's going to be a big offseason for him. I think,
You know why I was big on him?
Because of his size? I don't
can't
know.
teach 7'3".
You can't. I mean, it's one of the few things you can't teach in life. But I am excited to see Zach Edey's offseason because he has shown every step of the way he goes in the offseason and he works his tail off to get better. And so it's nice to know that one of your young guys has that in him and is going to do that. So certainly a ton of questions, and we'll talk a lot about the Grizzlies this entire offseason. Before we get to a break, though, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsors, Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to JaguarBluffCity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Old defense guns, home guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections, appraisals, and free bar setting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsInMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Georgetown Parkway behind Frankie's Barbecue in Cordova.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer doc fee of $899.50, which are paid by the consumer. Inventory combined from both Sunrise locations. New 25 Silverado, stock number SG103857, 6,000 dealer discount, expires 4/30/25.
Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a
prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com, and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's moving a little bit better now, where we had some rubbernecking going on Bill Morris Parkway going outbound at Kirby. Again, there was some flashing lights out there. It's had traffic slow. At one point, it was backed up all the way to 240 as you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. But again, it's moving on better than it was 10, 15 minutes ago. It's busy over here, but it's still not as busy as it normally would be on 40 East at Sycamore View Road, all the way out into Fayette County. Dandelions, Crabgrass, Lawn Solutions says they can take care of all this for you. Make your yard look so good your neighbors will be jealous. Call Lawn Solutions right now here in Memphis, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending. A handful of things trending right now. Obviously, the NBA playoffs. Even though the Grizzlies are no longer in it, they're still rolling along.
Real good.
Yesterday was incredible. I mean, from
and you see what a real
finish.
Superstar in Minnesota is like.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible, and Anthony Edwards just feels like
they started their playoffs in Memphis.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely did, and
with that Thursday night win.
Yeah, I mean, on the court he is sensational. Off the court, he sometimes lets his mouth go a little too much at times, but he's an awesome player. He's great, and now you look up. And Lakers down 3-1. I mean, we were talking about it right before the playoffs started when PTI had the question of what should the Lakers' expectation be, and you said that the Lakers. I mean, it should be the biggest expectations.
It's not the Omaha Kings.
No, I mean this is the LA Lakers with Luka and LeBron on your team, but now down 3-1.
What should Kentucky basketball's expectations be?
That's right.
Oh, the NIT.
That's right. Yeah, just maybe sniff the tournament, but I mean I think the big thing.
Who gets crushed the most if the Lakers are knocked out in this first round? LeBron or JJ Redick?
Probably JJ Redick.
Got to be.
It's not going to be LeBron.
Can't come at the king.
That's for sure. So yeah, I'd say JJ Redick. I personally don't think either of them should be crushed that much.
Who gets the crushing?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they
or
won't
do we
get
give
crushing.
the credit to Minnesota?
I think they'll both get crushed. I think JJ Redick will get destroyed probably. But I mean, I think this goes back to waiting. I mean, I guess they couldn't help it, but the failed physical and not getting Mark Williams in there. I mean, they have a massive hole in the interior. I remember we were talking about it off air. Our friend Keith Smith that joins us on Thursdays, I asked him twice late in the season, because the first time I asked him, and I feel like we fall into this trap with Keith all the time where we ask him a question, he gives us an answer, and then down the road we're like, I feel good about this, and then we ask him again, like yours with Brad Stevens, and
he's only been right every time I've asked him.
Exactly, and so same with me. I asked him.
Why do I keep asking?
It's a great question. It's one of the best questions.
Can't you take yes for an answer?
Yeah, I mean, just take the answer. But for me, I asked him, hey, look, Jackson Hayes not playing bad right now for the Lakers. Could he be enough for the playoffs? He goes, no. When the playoffs get there, game changes. He's not going to be enough. We go weeks later, we're to the very end of the season, and I asked the same question to him. Hey, I know you said no, but man, he's giving him a little bit. He's a lob threat. And he goes, no, he's not good enough. He's good enough right now. He's not good enough for the playoffs. And you're seeing a massive hole right now in the front court. They're taking complete advantage of it, whether it's the big man or whether it's Anthony Edwards getting to the basket. They're dominating.
And what the Timberwolves are getting ready to do, and I think they could win the West. I think they could beat Oklahoma City.
Could.
We'll see. I feel like they're I know they're in control of the Lakers series, but they hadn't finished it off yet. That was going to be us.
Yeah.
That was going to be us when we played them in 22.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, Minnesota feels like you've seen them multiple times along the way in the playoffs.
And they made the changes.
They did. They
didn't change coach either.
Nope. They have, Chris Finch, they have stood right by his side. And I think.
He took one for the team last year.
Well, he sure did.
Got leveled.
He absolutely did. But no, I mean, this is a team that they've got the superstar. They went out, like you said, Julius Randle comes in and gives them, more veteran experience. Rudy Gobert is, he's good at times. I'm not a huge Rudy Gobert fan, but defensively he's good. They've got a handful of guys. When you're able to go Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle as your starters, and then go Naz Reid off the bench, I mean that's really good. And
what he's provided.
You look at the defenders they have too. I mean they are a really good defensive team.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
And the Grizzlies this year through defending out.
Yeah, exactly. They zero defense for them. And so, I think you saw that. You go back to that series and you saw two teams that have now been on completely different trajectories. And yeah, Minnesota is looking really, really good. The other story, and kind of talk about, hey, what's going to happen here? We're talking about it with the Grizzlies. What's going to happen with the Grizzlies? What's going to happen with the Bucks? Now, Damian Lillard out with, the Achilles injury.
Done.
Back-to-back years. It feels like that might be a spot where they completely blow it up.
Giannis done?
It feels like every offseason we're like, Giannis doesn't really like being in Milwaukee anymore. Is it time for him to go? And so now you look up there, they win the whole thing, but then after that they get they can't go back to the finals. They get knocked out, and then now the last 2 years have been knocked out in the first round. Getting ready again last year, 2 years ago, knocked out in the first round by Miami. Last year knocked out by the Pacers. Getting ready to be knocked out in the first round again by the Pacers, and so. It might be we might see a lot of changes in Milwaukee.
With Denver, Milwaukee, and Toronto, it all feels like, and this is not the usual with the NBA. Mm-hmm. Usually you get one, you get a couple. Mm-hmm. Toronto, Milwaukee, and Denver doesn't feel like they're getting another one.
Mm-mm. No. I mean, if it is, it feels like it's going to be a whole long time before it. I mean, because it just feels – I mean, Toronto, we're already seeing their complete rebuild right now. They've got some, players, but it feels like it's going to be a while before they can really get back to competing. But, now Denver completely in the air. I think as long as you got Jokic, you got a chance. But, Milwaukee, nothing would surprise me. If we see Giannis on a different team next year, I would not be surprised at all. And so, I think that's another team to keep an eye on this offseason of, what kind of changes do they make.
Brian, I thought I was on to something when he was first hired. I know a lot of people were saying, why would Washington hire Magic Johnson? Why would they hire a basketball guy? They hired him to get done what he's gotten done, and that was to be the face man and the pitch man to all the different, and I mean a ton, to get something built inside the District of Columbia. I told you of a friend of mine that built a garage, lives on Capitol Hill, and the process of getting everything to just start the construction, then building it, it's a process. To build a $3 to $5 billion dome that will have a fixed roof, translucent fixed roof, that looking west back, let me get my coordination right. No, east back to west, back to the Capitol Dome, will look right down East Capitol. It will be fantastic. The Washington football team's finally coming home.
Yeah, and that was huge news, and it felt like it's been something that's been talked about for the last
get a Super Bowl.
Years.
We'll get a Final Four.
And, I think we were at a point about a year ago, a couple years ago, certainly, before Magic or really early on with Magic, of this ain't gonna get done. This is, and it feels like we're kind of there with a lot of different places when it comes to new stadium, and then
people don't want to say no
to
Magic Johnson.
No, and you're right. They brought him in and they knew exactly what they were doing, and it's completely panned out exactly how they wanted to.
And if he wants to, I don't know that he wants to. I don't know that they want to, but if he wants to, his power can get the name changed back.
Definitely.
If they want to.
No, he definitely could. I mean, Magic feels like he's in complete control, and it's been really cool to see. And you mentioned it earlier. I mean, we're getting really close to the majority of the NFL being domes.
After we get Nashville, and Chicago and Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
That's all future in the next 3 to 5 years. I think Charlotte, that would take a majority out of 32, 17 either fixed roof or retractable.
That is hard to believe.
The ultimate outdoor sport.
Yeah, but everybody wants that dome. I mean, there's so much you can do with it, and so I don't blame anybody.
All the other stuff you can host. And that view, I do think people, I know up and down that street, there are parts of East Capitol that are a toady neighborhood. Then it gets a little more expansive the closer you get to where old RFK, the DC Armory, where it is, it gets to be kind of a broad boulevard. But you park on the street on some parts of it, especially right behind the Capitol. I mean, it's very toady.
Wow.
And that will be looked to with a real source of pride for that area. I can see a Super Bowl and media days being hosted at DC Armory.
Yeah, no, it'd be really cool, and it seems like, that's the reason you make these moves, is to be able to host Super Bowls, to be able to host Final
The big
Fours,
stuff.
to be able, to do the big of the big, and so it seems like that's all likely, and it feels like that's going to happen, and you're seeing everybody moving in that direction. So really cool to see that. But Brett, we're about to run out of what's trending. We haven't mentioned the showboats.
Got a W.
How about that? A
Convincingly.
W. I mean, a big W.
Now back home this week, maybe a little momentum.
Yeah, so hopefully so. I mean, you get that first one, and you feel pretty good. And we talked about it last week. Dresser Wynn comes in, and
did you notice overtime? I don't think anybody really knew the rules of overtime.
Well,
man, they felt like they were winging it to me.
I'm gonna be brutally honest here. I watched a lot of that game Friday night, but I stepped away from the television. I was doing something else when overtime took place, and so I saw my brother Connor, and I asked him if he watched the end of it. And he goes, yeah. I go, yeah, you're gonna have to explain to me how the final score was 24-20. I've been racking my brain. I've been trying to figure out. I'm having trouble figuring out how in the world this game went to overtime and the final score was 24-20. He looked at me straight face. He goes, it's easy. Alternating 2-point conversions, best out of 3. Showboat's got the first 2. Birmingham didn't get any.
Connor had it broken down.
All right, gotcha.
Way to go, Connor.
So, nobody knew about it until it was done, and then Connor could break it down to you.
I'm watching it live, and I don't know what any of this is.
I had no idea.
Dresser Wynn was good.
He was good, and that was one of those things.
And fun story.
Sure, very fun story. And for him to come in late and just kind of thrown into third string.
They're home this Sunday, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. Because they played 3 road games, and so,
back to back at home?
I believe so. So, so maybe some momentum. You get back home and pick up another win.
I haven't been yet this year. I might go this weekend. What do I get Skipper for his birthday?
That's the big question.
Should I have it wrapped?
That's right. It's his Skipper's birthday.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you get a mascot for their birthday.
We'll visit. I'll ask Steve Mason.
I'm sorry, not a home game this weekend. Road this weekend and then back home.
Mother's Day weekend.
The following weekend. Yes. So at Houston this weekend and then home against St. Louis on May 11th. So,
get a win this week, have something rolling.
I think they can beat Houston. I think that's the game they lost by 1 point.
Should have
won. So I think they can beat Houston.
Is that 18-17?
You're locked in. I love it.
No,
so
not.
We'll see. Maybe a 2-game win streak come
back home. But I want them to do well.
I do too, and I definitely do. And so maybe a little momentum there.
Now,
but shout out to the Showboats.
When people see the crowds here, that looks like the crowds at most places. I think it is still wholly made for TV.
Yeah,
ratings aren't bad.
No. It's really everywhere except for St. Louis. St. Louis still's got pretty good crowds.
They do? Good.
They're still doing really well with the crowds, it seems like. But yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers, it looks like ESPN doing really well with these games. And, look, the league said, like, first year, first week, this is a made-for-TV product.
If they're mad at Memphis, they're mad at a bunch of places.
I mean, Birmingham, that's the team that's won, back-to-back championships or something like that.
And that was the place you thought you could just put any football in and they would go.
It was empty. It was empty on Friday. Now, Friday night, I don't know if that's the ideal spot, but it was not. Not a lot of people there in Birmingham. Well, let's get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at
Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Sports shoes. When you save money by bundling your one bottle with Progressive, you can get out there and give it 110%. Even though that's mathematically impossible. And remember, failure is not an option. Well, it's always an option, just not good. But you're not worried because you've got ice in your veins. You're on fire. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Well, that's between you and your doctor. So get out there and think what? Heroes just leave it and see how the level of Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance and giving its other insurance not available in most major situations.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 to its signing. Must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 87349, MSRP 25320, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25.
Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there in Gossett, Kia, South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX, $269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Fanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live.
In your life have you seen anything like that?
Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, according to CBB content on Twitter, PJ Haggerty is now considering 4 schools: NC State, Texas, Ole Miss, and a return to Memphis. So according to this Twitter page, he has talked to P.J. Haggerty, and the return to Memphis is still on the table, but also Ole Miss in there, along with Texas, and then maybe the wild card.
What's the price range?
Well, this Twitter account still said that, in the past, he has said $4 million, so I don't know if it has changed. I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe it's one of those he goes out, sees that he's not going to get $4 million, and says, well, I'll work with Memphis. And
I don't know any of those that can do that.
No. And, I think Greg Gaston said this with us last week. A lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times these numbers are inflated a little bit, and so I don't think he's going to get $4 million. But I don't know what those teams are able to.
You can't get it if you don't ask for it.
That's very true.
But I don't think any of those places can do that.
I don't either.
What I learned, the 901 is way too content. All year, from October to May, with the Grizzlies and the Tigers from November to March, it's always on the way. Mm-hmm. Just wait, you'll see. Just wait, Brett, you big meanie. It'll get here eventually. At playoff time, at March Madness time, and then there's nothing. Uh-huh. And nobody else gets that. No other sports entity gets that break from the Memphis media. Tennessee football doesn't get that. Rick Barnes doesn't get that, and he's been to back-to-back Elite Eights.
Yeah. No. You're right. People get a little too comfortable here. What I could have done without it was the Shedeur Sanders prank call over the weekend. And for that matter, any of these NFL draft weekend prank calls. I've now seen, a handful of other players from this weekend. I've seen a couple from years past getting prank called. I think obviously the big one is Shedeur Sanders, but I think it is bigger for Shedeur Sanders because he has said that this was a separate phone that only people in the NFL had this
they
number.
hand them out.
Yeah, and so I think, some of these late, 6th round picks, I don't know. I doubt they're getting a special phone to get.
But he got the burner phone.
But he did, and he knew that only teams associated or only people associated with the NFL had that phone number. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, these guys, look, I know Shedeur Sanders is a big name, he's a big figure, but these guys, whether it's him or any of the other players, they have worked their whole life to have this moment when they get that call from a general manager, from a head coach, and for you to try to mess with that for a prank, I mean, that's just not cool at all, super corny, just hated to see any of that over the weekend.
I could have done without. I think the wrong questions are being asked. Why stop with all the will Isolo be back, but why will Wexler Kleinman be back? Both in the organization over 10 years, 6 years in total control. Para doesn't know we exist. They've won nothing.
No, they absolutely have not. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to Arlington for the 14-14 homeless A's against the 15-13 Rangers. A's will push for American League wild card. What if we had an ALCS of Tampa Bay and homeless A's in minor league baseball parks?
Oh, geez. Don't tempt me. That sounds like chaos. And, Brett, I love chaos. Beam me this game later tonight on TNT. Rockets-Warriors. Right now, Warriors with a 2-1 lead, and it sounds
Rockets
like
have
Jimmy
looked young.
Butler. Rockets have looked young, and they were able to do that, get that lead without Jimmy Butler. Sounds like he'll be back tonight.
2 playoff games tonight. Also, Cleveland trying to close out the Heat. And it is Kentucky Derby week.
It is Kentucky Derby week. Get the horses ready.
We'll be horse racing experts by Friday.
Absolutely. We'll have all our picks. We'll be making you money right here on Sports Time. But a good night with the NBA, NHL, even some Major League Baseball. That's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.